I just want to get everybody's idea on Pan-Africanism. I believe from what John Henry Clark said, it was started in the Caribbean. You had a handful of black people, but it was really popularized and really pushed by actual black Americans. So uh, it seems to be one of those things that ideally, if it could have been implemented, what's that?
You can invite a fight up in here tonight.
Hey, we gonna talk about it, man. Hey, we have never had a Pan African space up in here, so I got to talk about it. It's one of the topics that I said. Yeah.
But look, it's a topic that I've been wanting to talk about because it's something that's kind of touchy in the spaces, and I've seen people kind of, people been disputing in this so-called Twitter streets about this topic, and so it's going to be interesting what everybody has to say. I'm gonna sit back for a little bit and just kind of listen to what folks have to say. But I think it's gonna be kind of a touchy issue. You already know it's kind of touchy, but hey, it's all good.
Yeah, it's all good. We all grown ups here. We all adults. I mean, we can take we can have a constructive criticism. I mean, I'm sure some people would say that and like I said, I'm at one time I believed in the Pan African model myself. I believe that hey, as black folks to gauge against white supremacy on all levels, that you're gonna have a united base. You're gonna have to have a united front. If not, you're gonna be utterly destroyed because when you think about white supremacy is global. It's taken over every landmass in this world. So in order to really go ahead and fight against it, you're gonna have to have as many people on board as possible. As I start getting more educated and just looking at things and the way things were. First, you can't have any kind of unity with anybody if you yourself are not united with your own people. So every group looks to help their own group first and foremost. So, like I say, I don't have an issue with anybody that believes in it. Some of the greatest scholars, some of the greatest historians that we've had were Pan Africans. I mean, I don't think anybody and most people in here don't have an issue with Malcolm X. Malcolm X had Pan African ideas. I don't think most of us have an issue with Dr. John Henry Clark. Dr. John Henry Clark definitely had Pan African views. Now, that's not to say that they may not have been critical of certain things as well too, but they had Pan African ideologies as well too. So I respect anybody that's trying to do for black folks, but at the same time, I don't know how realistic the Pan African thing is. I just don't see it. I think we've had more than enough time to go ahead and get it implemented and for it to really work. The problem is that if people had been, I think if the black diaspora had been on it like black Americans, by now it would already gain a global strength in this world, and it would have been something to be reckoned with. But for the fact of the matter was that when you look at some of the biggest Pan-African in recent times that we can think of, Marcus Garvey, well, hell, when Marcus Garvey went back to his own homeland, his own people didn't support him. And it wasn't until he actually came to the Americas that, he was idolized and he was put up there. So, I think the ideology itself, had it been able to been put out together, would have been something, but, it could never get going. And there was a chance for it. Black Americans was willing and they were ready to go ahead. You saw black people in World War II who had no tie whatsoever to Ethiopia, wanting to go over there and get in the war. And like, hey, you know what? They looked at Ethiopians as being black just like them. And hey, let's go over there and let's help them out. Let's get them a helping hand. So you can't say that the global fray against white supremacy, but at times they've been left, and most of the times they've been left holding an empty bag. So it has to be reciprocated. It never was reciprocated. So in that aspect, that there are hard feelings when it comes to Pan-Africanism. But like I say, some of the greatest black people in this that we could think of, historians, orators, civil rights people, I mean, they were big proponents of Pan-Africanism, but you have to think at the time that they were looking at it as well, too. They were looking back in the lenses of 1950s and the 60s and even the 70s. But you have to wonder if they were around today, would they still feel the same way? Would they be still just as gung-ho on it, or would they have taken a step back? So, Big Joe, I saw you came up here as well, too. Did you want to? Oh, go ahead, Professor.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, bro, how much of this you think is a factor when it comes to Brother Nelson Mandela? Because I always wonder if Black Americans were so involved are so, I guess you say, dedicated to this cause because of him. What do you think?
I think that definitely played a part in it. But then, like I say too, think about Malcolm and think about some of the other, icons that we've had in American history that felt that being able to reach out to the actual continent and being able to reach out to other Black people globally would be beneficial as a whole. I think some of it definitely would like you said, with Nelson Mandela played a part in it as well too. I definitely can't dispute that. But even while Nelson was locked up and gone and stuff like that, you still had you still had a think back in the 70s. Okay, Black people started coming out of segregation. They started rocking the afro. You started seeing the dashikis. You started seeing all this other stuff and this and that or whatever. And you had Black Americans that tried to take the culture, what they felt was African, and bring it back and Americanize it as much as they could, where it could fit them as well too. But I mean, something seemed to change during that time. So I think with Nelson, it played a part, and I think you had other leaders and stuff like that. But I don't know. That's hard to say because, like I said, even before Nelson, or not, I shouldn't say before Nelson, but after Nelson was locked up, you still had a sense of Black Americans that wanted to go ahead and gravitate towards the Pan-African vibe. But I wonder if some of those people were still around, if they would still feel the same way. And I want to get in, like I say, if we got any Pan-Africans in here, you're free to come up here and speak as well too. We're going to be respectful. I think Dr. John Henry Clark, I think if he was still alive today, I don't think Dr. John Henry Clark ideology would change one bit. I think Dr. John Henry Clark looked at us as Africans first and foremost. He thought Africans was a deeper bond, and even Black, saying that you're Black. He felt that a people had to be described culturally and not just by a race. So he felt he was, and I think most of us in here, I can't say for certain, but I think most of us in here have a deep respect for Dr. John Henry Clark, even if you don't agree with everything that he said in terms of his ideology. I think for the fact that the man was willing to go ahead and stand up for his people, he showed great respect. He was educated. He was defiant in so many ways. He was a teacher of Malcolm X as well too, from my understanding as well too. When Malcolm and Elijah, started kind of have a rift in the Nation of Islam, that Dr. John Henry Clark was some of the ideology that Malcolm would later talk about, was some of the stuff that he was being given to from Dr. John Henry Clark. Big Joe, go ahead. How you doing tonight?
What's up, brother? Peace and power and Black power. Well, I'm a Pan-African to a certain extent, brother. But you're right what you said, though. Double D. Du Bois was a Pan-African. A lot of the early people was a Pan-African. Like me, straight up and down, man. I'm an older, I'm an elder. I'm with anybody who will go against white supremacy. They can claim what they want to claim. We got to get rid of white supremacy before we ever move. We can do that in the third, but white supremacy got to go. There's gonna be bloodshed, and I hate that. But I'm gonna let somebody speak. I like to listen. Black power.
All right, appreciate that, Big Joe. Like I said, and to y'all, don't be shy. Don't be shy. Don't be afraid. I can't come up here and get on the mic. Like I said, we talking about the Monique thing. So if you saw the Netflix, you can come on up here and talk about Monique as well too. I thought some of it was kind of funny myself. Monique is a funny girl. I mean, I know some people say, well, hey, I felt like some of the agendas and this and that was being pushed forward or whatever. Agreed. I still thought, she talked about the uncle, the aunt being an uncle, and she talked about the other gay uncle she actually had. So she talked about having a gay auntie and a gay uncle. And she talked about, I guess, being in an open marriage and how she came to her husband about, bisexuality or whatever. So she tried to spin it in a comedic type, I guess, in a comedy type view or whatever. So, it is what it is. But like I said, I definitely want to hear what people got to think about the actual the Netflix. And we know Netflix and her was beefing for a minute as well too. Netflix and Monique had a big falling out. Monique was blackballed after that Precious movie as well too, with Hollywood. I know it was a big thing between her and Lee Daniels. It was a fallout. It was a fallout between her and Oprah. It was a fallout between her and Tyler Perry. I know Steve Harvey had on the show and basically was saying that, and Monique was saying that it was more than about money, and Steve Harvey was basically like, no, it's all about the money. So yeah, y'all, we getting it in tonight. We mixing in culture, we mixing in we always mix in news and current events, but today we mixing in culture, we mixing in entertainment. If anybody want to say, oh, want to cry about it, then go ahead and leave the space. I don't care. I heard people sitting up here telling, we don't need to worry. Listen, I'll worry about whatever the hell I want to worry about. I'm putting out news all the time. So we putting it out. And like I say, I want to hear our people's views on what they feel about Pan-Africanism. Is it valuable? Is it something that Black people can bank on? Or is it just a fantasy? Is it like, for y'all that's old enough, and I was a jit myself, that means I was young. When it came out, when you had the show Fantasy Island come out and Tattoo, people said the plane, that it was just a fantasy. So is this just a figment in Black people's imagination? Or is this something that can be really tangible, something that can strengthen the community? Or should Black people, more so Black people in America, like run like hell from the idea of Pan-Africanism? There's no right, there's no wrong. Say how you feel. However you feel, you're more than welcome to come on up here. We're going to be kicking it tonight. We're going to do what we do. So let me give a shout out. And let me give a shout out to my girl, Love My Folks, on YouTube. This sister is something else right here. But I knew when I put that Pan-African in the title, I knew she was going to come out. So shout out to you, Love. I can't wait to see the comments. I'm going to be reading some of your comments because I know they're going to be crazy and funny as hell tonight too. So I got you on that, sister. Don't worry about it. I see my girl God is trying to come up here as well too. I see Professor, I'm gonna get you. I see my girl Rella down there in the crowd. Rella, what you can't, I know you probably be busy at night, sometimes you be working, but I definitely want to hear what you gotta say as well too. So Love My Folks say I baited her tonight. Yeah, I figured this would bring.
It's gonna be a 3-minute time limit for Rella now. 3 minutes. 3 minutes.
When she get a chance, she'll come up here. Hey, go ahead. Who had the hand up? Was it you, Professor?
Yeah, it was me.
Go ahead, Professor.
Oh, I think DJ had his up first, so he can go before me.
You know, DJ the host, so you know the hosts always go after the speakers.
Oh, okay. I was just gonna say, and this is for all the Pan-Africans in the room. No disrespect, but I used to be a Pan-Africanist, and I was down with that movement. But come about 2010, it changed for me. And the reason why it changed, y'all, because we see how it has come to be for us and the other, and I hate to say it like that, but the other Blacks who are not us, that is, where they don't really support our situation, support our causes. As a matter of fact, they seem to be very critical of what we're trying to get done. And so, therefore, I'm just not down with that movement anymore. Now, do I hate you guys? I can't say that I hate you guys, but I definitely can't see myself trying to be down with you guys or trying to join up with you, because too many of you have shown that you don't really want to support our situation, our causes. So that's what I wanted to say on that, Newstoter.
Okay, Professor, I appreciate that. Like I say, everybody's entitled to their opinion tonight. So like I said, I just want to hear what everybody got to say and whatnot too. So hold on one second. Let me go ahead and get to Sister Goddess, and then we're going to get to Rella.
Hi, everyone.
Hey, Goddess.
I just wanted to say that. How you doing? I don't think that Pan-Africanism is a reality. That's why I'm against that. I've just never met any Africans that it don't seem like they have a Pan-Africanism spirit. Let's just say that. And I'm basing that just based on the ones that I met and what's going on right now in our communities all across America. So to say that Pan-Africanism is a thing right now and can exist, I just don't see the reality in that. Even in Africa, they're not speaking up for us at all. You see the president going over there, giving them money and everything. They're not speaking up for us and what's going on over here at all. So I don't see that as a reality, no. I haven't seen the Monique special, so I can't say anything about that.
When you get a chance, goddess, check it out. It's on Netflix. I think it just premiered yesterday, so go ahead. You get a chance, check it out. Let me read a comment real quick from Nightfall. He says, Newstoter, here's my take. While I believe that Pan-Africans, and this is on YouTube, is a beautiful pipe dream, it is a dream nonetheless, mainly due to the extreme divisions within the Black community locally. He also says, not all Africans rock with Africans, not all Caribbeans rock with Caribbeans, not all Negropeans rock with Negropeans. Another comment over there is from another one is from love my folks, is what she said. Did any of y'all brothers and sisters in the diaspora send y'all an email to share the billions of dollars our government just gave them? Well, yeah, they gave them some money. She also said Pan-Africans assume sub-Saharans want to eliminate white supremacy. In reality, sub-Saharans are currently making deals with Europeans hoping to become debt slaves of white supremacists. So this is this sister's view right here. Like I said, this is just people that everybody's sharing their different views and stuff tonight. So I'm reading what I just read off of YouTube. We're going to get to a couple speakers in here tonight. I see we got Rella. She's up here now. So I'm going to go ahead and let Rella come up in here as well and get hers in. We also got Actified it is. We'll go ahead and get to you after that as well, too. So if you want to speak, guys, just go ahead and raise your hands. We'll go ahead and we'll get to you. So it's no problem. LA Rob, I see you up in here. Shout out to you as well, too. So go ahead, Rella. And DJ, hold it down 1 second for me.
Rella Tripper, what's up, Mom?
You there, Rella?
Yeah, I'm here. I didn't know if DJ was going to go.
Oh, no, you got it.
Hey, Newstoter and DJ and everybody in this space.
What's up?
The last couple of days have been very, very strange. I actually today was watching the Tennessee. I was watching the shit show go down in Tennessee on TikTok. ABC was streaming it on TikTok. But I also did watch the Netflix special. And Professor, I'm going to get to you after I finish. I want to say that I'm a big fan of Monique. I unfortunately was not moved by the Netflix special. And it not necessarily was because of the LGBTQ push. Monique has always been vocal for that community, so that's not new. I know for me, when I was watching it, I saw the pain of what Monique went through, because when she first came out on stage, you could just tell she was taking everything in, because, look, she went through hell. She went through a whole battle with Netflix. And not just Netflix, but the entire Black community. And maybe that I shouldn't say the entire Black community, but the majority of the Black community who did not side with her. And then she also went through hell with the media and the celebrity Black community, like Steve Harvey and Wanda Sykes and the Underwoods and all of the people who dogged her. I mean, they dogged her, D.L. Hughley. And it seemed like battle after battle. And when you see the special when it first comes on, you can hear her, you hear like the little voices kind of talking, that she's difficult and you can't work with her and she's too loud and fat and Black and, all the things. And so when you see her come on stage and she starts talking, it was more like a therapy session, because she's crying and she's telling you about these experiences of people that are in our community that we know are family members, that we do know that they go through ostracization because of particular beliefs, faith beliefs, religious beliefs, or people who do not agree with the LGBT community's lifestyle, if that's your position, right? So you're watching this all go down, and at first it's like you want to laugh. Like, I was laughing at something, especially when she was talking about how she, she was somebody that came up through special ed. And that was a big deal because if you were a Black American and you understand how the school system worked, they did not care about whether or not you, a lot of our people got a good education and understood the concepts. They threw them in special ed. That was a practice of racism and white supremacy. If you had power or people who practiced supremacy. And so she talked about that. She talked about how she literally realized that she was in a position where she's always had to fight and be vocal and stand up for people. So she has a soft spot for people, like you said, her uncle and her aunt, who's her uncle too, because she got an uncle that's gay and an aunt that's lesbian. Or transgender, I think. Trans, not lesbian. Lord, I get confused with the outfits. But anyway, so she was trying to, I think, now come back into being on stage and probably having to actually unfold. And she started from day one. So to me, that's trauma. So it was more like, to me, a uncovering for her and a reconditioning to get back into the scheme of things, because you could tell she wasn't like her old real funny self. She was trying to pretty much bring light to the shit she had been through with her family and what happened in her career, and it didn't sit well as a comedy special that I'm used to. So I wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna go tell somebody to go watch it. I was more like, damn. So that's that. The Pan-Africanism, I'll put it to you like this. I'm not, because I do a lot of work with organizations and in regards to historical records, I don't believe in the Pan-Africanism as the people try to push the diaspora view today. But I will not dismiss the fact that we are amalgamation of the history and lineage of people that people know to be true if you do your own genealogical work. I don't promote Pan-Africanism ideology, but also don't have any hate or ill will towards people who practice Pan-Africanism. I just call out bullshit when I see it, meaning that if you're for and want to try to label me as an African, and I specifically tell you historically, no, you do not get to choose how I get to represent and stand up and see myself as a descendant, then you need to respect that. And you need to also respect that even though Du Bois and you had Frederick Douglass, who also did reference our part of our amalgamation in connection to our ancestry, they also represented and knew that they were descendants, and they talked about us here in this country and why the American Negro, the freedmen, the ADOS, the FBA, people who are here in the United States have a particular viable point to be recognized, and we need to be respected by people from the Pan-African diaspora community, as well as from people coming from the continent of Africa over to the Americas to make sure that they see us and understand we are the revolutionaries. We've always been the revolutionaries. We've always put the imprint of what the symbolic gestures were in evolving life globally. That's the reason why they keep wanting to shoehorn themselves in the discussion when it comes to reparations or historical record. They kind of want to flat blackness it, because if we separate ourselves from the ideas of Pan-Africanism, you now have to recognize there has been a group of people who have fought harder, who have sacrificed, and not sacrificed themselves, but on the cusp of actually being demonized and murdered and killed, but rose back up time after time and fought white supremacy. And that has been the Black American community. That's always been the Black American community. And we did it from Nelson Mandela all the way from the streets of Los Angeles. Yes, they might have been Pan-Africans, and they believed in unity, because that was not a bad thing. but lost in translation, somehow we all got lumped into this, flat black discussion to the point where we no longer had an identity, even though we had several identities that we never were ever able to claim in public, because people would be like, oh, well, you African, if you melanated, you got to drop a melanin, you from the motherland. No, my motherland is where my great, 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 great grandfather and grandmother started our lineage, and they started it here in the United States. It does not mean that they didn't come from somewhere else and I have to get there. It means that I get to represent my motherland and what I know. So I land. I know that was long-winded, Professor, but that's what I believe, and that's where I stand, and I'll never be knocked off my square.
No, right, Rella? Glad to hear from you. I don't think I've heard from you this week, have I? I don't think I have. I know you was in the spaces.
No, I've been in meetings and stuff, but I actually been listening in, just real quiet.
Yeah, I know. I saw you in a couple of spaces, but I just didn't get a chance to hear you speak. But as always, I'm glad to hear you speak as always, sis. And like I said, everybody's entitled to their opinion, and I get what everybody's saying tonight.
Much love, baby. Much love.
Love you too, boo.
Let me go to Actify. Actify, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Yeah, I haven't seen Monique's special yet, but I'm ready to talk about Pan-Africanism. Boy, Pan-Africanism, like Rella said, it had some relevance back in the day, but it's kind of lost its way. It's what it's become in actuality here in the United States. It's become a way to gaslight Black Americans, and that's really all it's worth right now. People have personal relationships, and that's cool. People have some business relationships, and that's cool. But none of that is, to my mind, creates anything for us as people, as different groups. So the way I view it, this Pan-Africanism, just like any other ideology, it can't function without a solid framework. Right now, everybody's got it. You talk to 10 different people, you'll get at least 5 different definitions of Pan-African. That's got to stop. It's got to be one definition. That's number one. Number two, there has to be a code of conduct, right? People are saying, well, you shouldn't be arguing with people with Black people from Africa or the Caribbean, because that's anti-Black, but they can say anything they want to about us. That doesn't seem fair, so there's got to be a code of conduct, right? And there's got to be a standard of support for one another, right? So, and that's to my mind, that falls on institutions as opposed to individuals, right? If your institutions aren't supporting what we're doing, like for instance, right now the California Reparations folks, they have a website called Support Reparations. Supportreparations.org, right? And a bunch of institutions, I think something like 150 institutions have signed up over there. And there are multiple institutions within the United States that are African-centric, right? And Pan-African, right? And there are only 2, and I say again, 2 that I know of. I haven't checked this week. 2 that I know of. One is Africa House, and I forget what the other one is, of over nearly 200 of 150 organizations that have signed up to support that. I need to know what your institution is doing. I don't care what about individuals. I don't care about calling people names. What are your institutions doing? Meaning, it's not just your organization, it's also your nation, right? Because people can push the nation to do stuff. They can push the embassies to do stuff. They can push the institutions that they're part of to do stuff. And what it feels like to me is, and John and I were just sitting in another room discussing this. It seems like they're watching. People from the diaspora are watching organizations like Narcan and Cobra pushing for this everybody gets reparations thing. They're sitting tight and not supporting us. So it seems like to me that they're just waiting to see if they can get a piece before they actually say something. Right? People say, well, I don't want this and I don't want that. My people don't want this. My people don't want that. But you're not doing anything to stop and Cobra, and you're also not doing anything to get your institutions to support what we do. So you can't have it both ways. And to my mind, if there's no code of conduct, there's no standard ideology, and institutions aren't getting involved, it's absolutely useless to us as a group or as groups. all I got.
All right. Appreciate that, Actify. Thank you. Let me go ahead and get to LA Rob. LA Rob, how you doing tonight, man?
What's good after? Well, what is it? Good afternoon to the kings and queens. What's happening, bro?
What's up, LA? How you doing?
Long as I wake up, I'm good. I'm here with my mama, so I'm great. You know what I'm saying? But I was listening to the brother Big Joe was saying he was Pan-African. I think, and there's nothing but love. You know what I'm saying? But I think, as far as Black Americans, why we always leery is because we've always had some type of infiltrator come in and do something against us and kill our leaders and do just terrible stuff against us. So we always leery. We don't trust them clear folks. You know what I'm saying? Not at all. And I can speak as far as me growing up in Venice to where I remember where the Mexicans was cool with us. But it just seems like the more came over here, they really showed who they really are. But to the brother that was speaking, man, I don't got nothing against anybody until I see that pressure. You know what I'm saying? Like for real. And this is Twitter. And I try to tell, all the little young homies that ask me questions, just remember this Twitter, man. Say that pressure face to face. You know what I'm saying? All this rah, back and forth on Twitter, man, it's social media. Everybody on the phone. So, what the brother said toward the end, be against white supremacy. I'm with that. But first I got to find out if you're down for Black Americans. Like my mama told me back in the day, all your ancestors, what we know and what we've looked up, what I've looked up, they from Louisiana. And not say, well, mom, am I African? You ain't been to Africa. Ain't nobody you know from Africa, son. You a black man that was born in America. And it makes sense to me. It's just my opinion. I'm just, what I'm saying, just speaking, from the heart of, what I'm saying. That's pretty much it. I'm going to slide on that.
All right, LA, appreciate you coming through tonight, man. Glad to have it. We got our people coming in here speaking and whatnot. Like I say, guys, feel free to talk about any topic that you want to. We got we talking about the Monique Netflix special, but of course we talking about the Pan-Africanism. Is it viable in 2023? Is it realistic, or is it just a pipe dream? Is it just Jack and the Beanstalk type talk, or could it really become something feasible for all the Black people on Earth? So just come in, share what you think. Anybody's free to come on up here and speak. We want to hear what you got to say. Definitely want to hear what you got to say. Let me go ahead and get to I'm gonna get to you, Big Joe. Let me go ahead and get to Volvo. Volvo, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Oh yeah, brother, I appreciate you letting me speak. I just wanted to touch on the Pan-African thing, man. If you look, I mean, like it's really a delusion of grandeur. How can you how can you get everybody, every Black person, every Black nation on the same page? Just because all of us dark skinned, it don't really even make sense. It's really just it's delusional. I done had these discussions a lot of time with Pan-Africanists, and then I turn them into trolls. They just start name calling and trolling me. You know what I mean? Because I'm asking real questions. What's the plan? None of them got no plan. How do you get everybody to see it the same way? How do you bring all these different cultures, all these different languages? How do you bring everybody together? Nobody's got an answer on that. It turns into some bullshit. We all Black brother bullshit. You know what I mean? That shit is not gonna work. What makes you an African at this point? What makes you an African? Just being dark skinned? Because it's dark skinned East Indians that's blacker than me. So what's the what I want to say, measuring stick to make you an African? You know what I mean? Now, it's some Pan-Africanists that I feel as though their heart is in the right place and they got a good plan if it can work. Like Dr. Umar Johnson. Like, I know that he catches a lot of heat. You know what I mean? And I'm critical of him too. I just feel as though he don't really his heart in the right place, but it's just not realistic. His plan is really a good plan if you think about it. Is he want to indoctrinate the children with Pan-Africanism? That's smart. He want to get kids from all over the world, indoctrinate them with the Pan-Africanist mindset, and then send them back to their country. You know what I mean? It took me a while to pick up on what he was trying to do. I said, "Oh, that's actually a pretty good idea," but I just don't see that working. You know what I mean? I know I catch a lot of heat every time I bring this guy up, but I'm gonna say it anyway. Grandmaster Jay, he was a Pan-African. You know what I mean? I feel as though that he was in over his head, but his heart was in the right place, and at least he had a plan. You know what I mean? He was trying to work his plan, you know, before he went to jail. You know, you call him whatever you want, but ain't nobody got no proof that he was working with the government. Nobody ain't produced no proof. None of them. It's all talk. You know what I mean? So I just feel as though that is not gonna work. I don't know how you get these people to put down their petty beefs and their tribalism in Africa. Then if you do that, how do you get the Nigerian on the same page as the Kenyan? How do you get the Kenyan on the same page as the South African? How do you get the South African on the same page as the Egyptian? The Egyptians, a lot of them is Arabs. Are they considered to be Africans? Like, it's just so many moving parts with that. It's just not feasible. I appreciate you letting me speak, brother.
No problem. Good to hear from you tonight, Vovo. I'm gonna go to Big Joe, then we're gonna get to Phoenix, and we're gonna get to Rella. DJ, we got you too. So go ahead, Big Joe.
Yeah, what's up? I'm Pan-African for two reasons. It's just that I trace my lineage back to Africa and other places too. It's really a solution. I know a lot of people don't care for the Pan-African, but my question is that do anybody got a goddamn plan for white supremacy? I don't see nobody else nowhere that got a thing. I know the brother mentioned really about Jam Master Jay. I had that ideology when I was in the Black Panther Party. That no, we ain't all brothers, but when it comes to white supremacy will take everybody out. So that's my thing. Though. We can call what we want to call each other. I'm with what Dr. Clark was saying. We have no friends. It don't matter what the hell we call ourselves. But the white supremacists took a shot at us. We can pick all day who we want to be, but at the end of the day, do anybody got a plan against these white supremacy people? You know, it don't matter. We walk around pink and green flags. But we still got to have a plan for these white supremacists because they got a plan for us. And I know the brother was saying about South Africa and stuff, but we got beefs over here. We got beefs, Crips and Bloods, Vice Lords, all that stuff, man. We beefing on Twitter. Now we need to get all the beef. Let's get on one accord. That's all I'm saying, you know. I like being a Pan-African and Black Power. That's what I like being. You know, I know the sister was saying something about, ain't nothing wrong with that, but white supremacy hate us. I'm an old head. I've seen a lot, been there and done that. You know, I have no problem with no other groups, black groups in America. I believe we need to all just band together and get rid of some of these prejudiced white motherfuckers. Excuse me, but that's how it is. And the day gonna be bloodshed. Jam Master Jay was on some real shit, but you know him, Huey, all them. And I believe we need to kind of get back to that as planning. And the brother said something about the plan. One of the plans we can band together and get rid of these damn white supremacists. That's all the plan can be. Other brother said something about reparation. I'm for reparations. We can do both reparations. I'm with any black who get their due in our land. Black power. Can I ask him a question?
Wait. Hold on real quick. One hand at a time because we got Phoenix right here that's waiting to go. So let's go ahead and get the Phoenix, because we got everybody that spoke before want to ask my question. Let me go ahead and get the Phoenix, and then we can go ahead and see what's up. Phoenix, go ahead and unmute your mic. You there, Phoenix?
Yeah, now I am. I was muted. Peace, love, and reparation, family, Toter, DJ, Rella, all the, all the speakers in the place to be, and this is the place to be today.
Hey, Phoenix, Arizona.
I'm not Phoenix, Arizona. I'm Phoenix Rising, out of the ash. Like,
Hey, there you go.
Yeah. I just want to say this on the Pan-Africanism, and I think we have all flown the flag, right? I know I have, because at one point before we started to really dive in, our eyes, right, started to dive into my lineage and background. I mean, I'm just talking about even years ago, like during the protests during Rodney King. That was the thing that we were on. And what I've noticed, though, is that if Pan-Africanism works here in America, but I don't really see where it works anywhere else on the planet. And I've traveled everywhere. Everyone dark and melanated has some connection and attachment to Africa. Even, let's say, right? I went to Tahiti, and it was some chocolate. Most of them are chocolate. And so they felt the connection to me being a Black American, being over there. But at the same time, and everyone knows Mother Africa, right? But when it comes down to implementing us having the plan, like Bobo was talking about, it just seems to fall flat. And I think the reason that it falls flat is because Africa is a whole continent with 54 or 55 countries. And to the brother's point, it's hard to get them on point with one another, with corruption and with things and their resources, and letting the other people, the white supremacists, come in and take all the resources and things like that. It would be a beautiful if American freedmen, African Americans, Black Americans, whatever you want to call it, the foundational. It would be a beautiful thing if we could do business with our brothers and sisters on the continent, but it just falls flat. I would love to. I mean, we could really make it pop, especially South Africa, because they have a similar story, and we can connect that way. And that's the country I would love to be in bed with. But there's only one out of 54. So Mother Africa has to get it together, and then we gladly do it. Then we have the largest population of Black people, which is in Brazil. So then there's that. So we could do business there too. So it's just one of those things that it is a very it's positive thinking. It could be the way to go, but I feel like we need to focus on elevating ourselves here, right? Getting on one accord here. We got a lot of work to do here. We can barely raise money, get super PACs together, get people in position to be in power and see the power here and doing business here. So I think what we need to focus on is here. And then we start branching out. And then that while we're doing us over here, they're getting themselves together over there. We can be in contact. We can, set up relationships and things like that. But let's not be mistaken. Everything needs to start here first. And thank you for the space. And I'll land there. I'm driving, so I can't look at all of the topics, but I've had enough time, and I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Okay, sister, and we're just talking about the Monique Netflix special as well too. So you get a chance to come back up and you want to speak some more, just go ahead and raise your hand and we will get to you. Let me go ahead and get to Rella, Black Pressure, Volvo. DJ, we still got you too. So DJ, you want to say something real quick, because I know you've been waiting for a minute. You there, DJ?
Yeah, I'm here. Go ahead, though. Let the people talk.
All right. Go ahead, Rella.
I think Black Pressure actually have been sitting up here for a minute. So, Black Pressure, would you like to go ahead and go? Respectfully.
No, man, I just got here, so y'all all work before me. So y'all go ahead.
Thank you. I agree with what I agree with my sister Phoenix said, and Big Joe, shout out to you, and I'm definitely
Let's love to you, sister.
Yes, King. And so I want to say this: there is no hate against Pan-Africanism or people from the continent, and I think that we can't say that enough. I know from what I've seen and what I've experienced in America when it comes to the cultural differences and the recognition of who I grew into be and am growing up into be in my identity. We were not given the right to deep dive into our identities. I know we like to throw the term white supremacy around like as if we don't all know white supremacy is a huge battle and a war that we're constantly in. But we also have to pay attention that we are also in another war. And the other war is the war of identity, the war of recognition of who we are as descendants. And I remember talking to Antoinette Harrell, who is a genealogist. You probably saw her on Vice when she did the story in regards to the people who were still living on that plantation. And so I speak with her and the discussions that we had, and she does believe in Mother Africa as well, but she also recognized that we are descendants. And she says, as an elder, you can't map your way to Africa and starting in Africa. You have to map your way back home to from where you're at. You have to do that. And I believe that. I don't disrespect her as an elder. She doesn't respect me in my position and what I see and believe with my eye. And notice I said my eye, and I always say that you see with your ears and you listen with your eyes, because what you actually see, you're listening to things, but what you hear, you see. And that is, to me, why it is important for us to utilize our third eye, because at the end of the day, you can't sit and try to one paintbrush an umbrella over everybody. And this is to Vogel's point. How do we get a point to get all the cultures together where you recognize them? The reason why I'm able to move into different spaces and have conversations with different people and still maintain myself is because I don't allow people to erase me by trying to lump me in as if I'm supposed to fall under some one patriarchal thing, when my grandmother and grandfather, my mother and father, my family lineage has an entire story, and that gets to be heard. No one gets to dictate what that looks like. No one, because it was already written. And I get to tell you the story when I'm ready, or however I map and find out more information. And I still get to fight for my people. And I still get to recognize that there are different levels of white supremacy as well as prejudiced behaviors from other groups, especially people who are melanated like me, and sometimes our own people, because they're afraid that if we self-identify or identify nationally from our nation, that somehow we are disconnecting ourselves to the other amalgamations of things that we might be a part of in our bloodline. And that's not true. And I need people to start getting that language into their vocabulary so you can have these discussions and they don't have to turn into arguments. You can still hold your ground with people respectfully, but you make sure that they understand the level of respect only comes from their acknowledgement. That's number one. I don't sit and hold conversations and try to convince someone that I am a Black American. I believe in the freedmen. history. I believe in the mulatto and Negro and the free people of color, and I can talk about the different eras and times, and I get to love on the Black American story and say, listen, you don't know my culture, you don't know my history, but let me share it with you. Because what they're going to do is they're going to be like, well, I'm from Nigeria, I'm from Ghana, we have a culture. Black Americans don't have a culture. Bullshit. Because I was raised in a family that did nothing but practice family culture, holidays, history, got together and loved on each other. We might have not been perfect. People fought and have, different opinions. That's the joy of being an individual in a collective group. But you get to see each other. And if you can't be around people that allow you to be that way and they want to passively or aggressively get you to try to change that trope by saying, well, this still is a white supremacist system. Well, guess what? As white supremacy exists, so do we. And we're not supremacists, we're preservationists. And we get to say those things out loud and boldly. And we got to start doing that. And you got to start making sure people don't erase you in conversation, in history books, and in imagery, on film, and in all aspects of life. The boomers got tired. The ancestors before us were tired. Hell, sometimes we getting tired. But at some point, we have to get into the mindset of evolving so people, when they come into this country, they understand that this isn't little Africa, little Haiti, little China, little whatever else other groups that are immigrating here. No, this is the land of the American descendant of slaves, and we are a brilliant and beautiful people, and we built this bitch. And we will go down with the ship if need be. Now, that's my stance. Then I'll land.
All right. Rella, thank you. Let me get to Black Pressure because he's next. We're trying to keep the order for
I
this.
just want to ask a question, though. Now, that's all, and I'm going to leave it alone. I love these groups on here. I love them. I'm older dude. My question is, do anybody would die? Would anybody die for what they believe in? That's what my point is. I love the sister. It was brilliant what she said. I got native.
But why do I have to die? Can I live for what I believe in?
I die what I believe in, bro. Sister.
But can you live first before you have the option to die?
I'm living. I am living.
All right, then there you go. So there's no question that you would die for what you believe.
I'm gonna say, but the reason why I say that, I see passion. I'm an elder. I see passion. I done fought white supremacists. I done fought Native Americans. I done fought Asians. I done fought ignorant Negroes. So my thing is that stories are good. I got plenty of stories. My people from Alabama, I'm from New York. My people from Alabama. They can tell you stories go back 100 years how they ran white folks off their land. So my thing is, the enemy is white supremacy, not us. FBA is not my enemy. Freeman is not my enemy. Other groups not my enemy. Y'all my brothers and sisters, right? Even the security tribe, y'all are my brothers and sisters. I love y'all. But when it comes to these crackers, we got to get rid of the Crips and Bloods, our brothers and sisters, the vice lords, the drug dealers, all of them, those are my brothers and sisters. We need to organize and get reparations, education, and I get goddamn America back. That's what
you forgot one more thing, Big Joe.
What's up?
The other thing that's the enemy is the misrepresentation of the narrative. And that enemy has been running rampant. And you said one thing that I heard you, and I'll say this: there are those of us who are younger than you who are priming, and we are in the fight. And we're asking the elders, the boomers, to get back in the fight. Because as you're looking for solutions, we're coming up with solutions. But what we get hit with is, oh, you can't do that. No, we ain't that people, and we ain't that person. We done had about 7 different classifications told, and everyone in the separated fraction groups deny or say, oh no, well, I'm not those people, or I'm not a product of or descendant of a slave, or I'm not this, that, and the third. We're actually talking about all the same people.
Facts.
All the same people. But people want to stay mad. But people want to stay mad because they want things to go their way. What we have to realize is we got to get the narrative correct. We have to get this correct, and we got to be able to work together. So that means what you believe in, there has to be some form of coming into the fold and saying, all right, I recognize this. How can I evolve and grow? And likewise, young people are not far removed from a generation that we can't respect the elders enough to be like, okay, well, what did y'all do that we need to learn from, so we don't either make the same mistakes, or we need to make sure what worked, and we need to use that, and what didn't work, we make a conscious note to be like, all right, we can't do that.
Hey, check this out.
Okay, real quick. No, hold on, real quick, Big Joe. Real quick. This is why I say that sometimes when people, after somebody speaks and then somebody wants to ask them a question, now Black Pressure's been waiting. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna get back to you, because then you have Rella spoke for about 3 minutes, and then you and her have an exchange. So it can end up being 10 minutes before that person has actually been holding their hand, waiting behind 3-4 other people get a chance to speak. So I'm gonna let everybody in the space know. That when it's their turn, unless that person says you can go ahead and speak for me, we're going to go and try to keep the order so everybody can get an equal allotment of time. So that's the fairest thing to do. Black Pressure, go ahead and unmute your mic.
What's up, Black fam?
What's up?
It was great, DJ. Man, it's been a minute since I chopped it up, man. They cracking the whip on me at the job, man. So glad to be back. But let me say this. So I want you to follow me, because there's going to be a duality in the synopsis I'm going to lay out, okay? So let me say it like this. Pan-Africanism is a wonderful idea, right? Put an asterisk by that. I compare it to time travel, a beautiful and wonderful idea. But that shit is a fairy tale, and I'll tell you why. If you say, well, what's the rubric we can go by to compare something to see if Pan-Africanism can be successful? And if you want, you can start in day one. You can even start before the influence of the European in African affairs, right? You can start with the Egyptians versus the Nubians, right? They went to war and killed each other. You can start with even my personal hero. You can go to Hannibal in ancient Carthage and ancient Egypt. You can go to even more modern day. What are those people's names? The Tutsis and what's those other people that were killing each other in Rwanda? The Tutsis and the shit. I'm getting old.
I can't think of the name either.
The Hutus and the Tutsis. Yeah, you can go to, now this is strictly African people. You can bring it more modern day, the Crips and the Bloods. I can go on and on and on. The Libyans and the Central Africans. You can keep going and keep going and keep going, right? So I'm saying that to say Pan-Africanism is a fairy tale, because there's never been. If there was any time to be a Pan-Africanist, it was during the wars between ancient Carthage and the Romans, where Hannibal went to the Libyans, he went to the Visigoths, he went to the Gauls, right? Literally, ancient Egypt was the empire directly east of him, and the Egyptians told him, fuck you. So like I said, there's no rubric you can go look at to see where Pan-Africanism has ever been successful. That's why I say you bring that shit to modern day times. It sounds wonderful. It sounds great, but it's just not. It's never been, right? And I know, I think I heard Volvo. If I was wrong, I'm sorry, but I think Volvo said, "What makes you an African? What makes you an African is the DNA in your blood and the haplogroup that you're a member of. That's what makes you an African." But like I said, I know a lot of people want to talk, so this is my little spill right there, and I'll land my plane, and I'll come back later.
All right, thank you, appreciate that, Black Pressure. I'm gonna go to Volvo, Big Joe, Professor, Phoenix. I see you got your hand back up as well too. So that order: Volvo, Big Joe, Professor, and Phoenix. Before we get to you, Volvo, let me go ahead and say up in the jumbotron on the far right hand side, I believe we have the YouTube Newstoter YouTube channel up there. We've been able to get some of our people to subscribe. It's a third over to the right. We've been able to go ahead and to the speakers. Don't flood the jumbotron tonight with all of with all of these articles and stuff like that. We got the content tonight. We just talking about Monique and Pan-Africanism. We don't need to put 50 different things in the jumbotron. Keep the jumbotron clean so people, if they want to go to the YouTube channel, they can go ahead and find that. So I'm telling the speakers, don't flood it with a bunch of stuff up there. What's up there tonight? Nothing else needs to be put up there. We're gonna go ahead and let our people go ahead. If they need to navigate, they can navigate without trying to look for 30 different things, get through 30 different things. So I want to appreciate and give a shout out to everybody who's been subscribing to the YouTube channel, because while the space has been going on, people have been actually subscribing to the YouTube channel. So on the in the jumbotron, the third to the right, do we have the actual YouTube channel up in there? If you guys, please, if you get a chance, please go ahead and subscribe to it. Please go ahead and subscribe. You can do that while the actual space is on. All you gotta do is click on that, go to the YouTube channel, hit subscribe, and you're still listening to the actual Twitter space as it's going on as well too. So I definitely appreciate you guys. You guys are helping us gain more subscribers, and so thank you for that right there. Also, if you can, please think about trying to support us on Cash App, $Newstoter, $Newstoter. Newstoter is the largest Black-owned, largest Black American-owned news media curation platform today in America. Once again, Newstoter is the largest Black-owned, Black American-owned news media curation platform today in America. If you have just $1 that you want to donate, like I said, we're not trying to break any pockets. If you have $1 that you feel is worthy of donating to the actual media curation platform, please think about making that donation to Newstoter. Also, if you do not have a Cash App, the PayPal and Venmo is up in the jumbotron as well too. Let's go to Volvo. Volvo, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Appreciate you letting me speak, brother. Man, you made me forget what I was about to say. Every time right before I speak, you cut to commercial.
Hey, we got to pay the bill. We got to pay the bills. So I'm sorry.
Yeah. I understand. What was I about to say? Somebody mentioned the flag, flying the Pan-African flag. I still fly that flag. My grandfather flew that flag. That flag is the unofficial Black American flag. We the only group of people on the whole planet to ever fly that flag, to ever fly those colors. I'm a truck driver. I've been all over America. Every time I'm anywhere in any state I'm in, Black, and when I enter Black America, I see those colors. So anywhere in Black America, everybody know what those colors mean. You know what I mean? You're gonna see it on a bumper sticker, a T-shirt, the flag flying on somebody's house. That flag is the unofficial Black American flag. That's I'm in that part with that. As far as the Pan-African movement, if you want to hear somebody babble, bring up Pan-Africanism. Ain't nobody going with that Pan-Africanism no more. It's only old niggas, immigrants that came to America that want to say we all Black, and Dr. Umar Johnson. Them the only ones that's left. That's it as far as the Pan-African movement. That is done. That is over with. And ain't nobody, that's over with. Like I said earlier, if you want to hear somebody babble, bring up the Pan-African movement. You know what I mean? Now we talking about hablo groups and all that. Come on, man. Like, come on now, brother. That don't make you an African no more. You don't know, like, come on, bro. How do you identify somebody's hablo group? By just seeing them on the street. Come on, man. Like, that type shit is just nonsense at this point. Nobody really has a plan that says they're a Pan-Africanist. I heard the brother Big Joe say earlier, he brought up what I said when I said, what's the plan? He said, the plan is to get these fight white supremacy. That's how vague of a plan is that? If you ask a Pan-Africanist, how do you end the civil war in the South Sudan? He won't know what you're talking about. If you ask him, how do you end the civil wars in in Central Africa and Mozambique and in Libya and I don't know and I don't know, you know, like how you get all these tribal wars, get all these people on the same page and get all these people to say just because we all dark skinned, we all the same people. None of them will be able to give you an answer. None of them. Cause it's like at this point on some real shit, I feel as though this is mental illness. They not gonna argue. If you want to turn somebody into a troll, ask them that shit, and they gonna start babbling. They gonna get mad. They gonna start name calling. They gonna start just going into random rants about nothing. Cause they don't have a plan. It's all nonsense. The Pan-Africanism movement is dead. That shit. Maybe even 100 years ago, it was just far fetched. It was just, we had so much pressure on us. We was trying to find something to do, trying to find some way to get this pressure off of us. Now we know that shit is not gonna work, man. It ain't no, we like to romanticize Africa, you know, and feel like that Africa is some type of oasis. Africa suck, man. Africa really do suck. These people ain't leaving for no reason. It suck over there. Period. We need to worry about the shit that we doing here, man. I think I said everything I need to say. I appreciate you letting me speak, brother.
No problem. Appreciate that. Let me go ahead and get to Big Joe, and then we're gonna move it around the room. I see we got Miss T up here as well too. So shout out to you, Miss T. I'm gonna have you come up here and speak in just a second as well too. Go ahead, Big Joe.
All right, what's up? Bob, I understand what you're saying. That's all good. We got a lot of problems in America. My standpoint is Pan-African. We can get it fixed in America and over there anywhere else that black people land. So my thing is, Africa, some part of Africa's fucked up, yes. Some part is good, yes. Some parts of America fucked up and black America fucked up, and some parts of fucked up. My thing is that solution is, we got to find what a solution is. Solution is that what I've been researching, that white Americans are the problem. That's the problem. Now, my question is, well, I don't know where you're from, though. We have every problems here similar to what we going to do with the gang problem. Can I ask you a question about that? What we going to do about the drug problem? They killing each other. What we going to do about education in our community? We open up schools. Trying to open up a school for the education of the Negro. But that's why I said, I'm a black American. That's one of my plans. So what we gonna do about what's going on in America? So Pan-African, it can be what you want it to be, but I'm a Pan-African, I'm black power, and I'm black nationalist. So my thing is, yes, I love America. I am an American, black American. But my thing is that, can we stop the gang problem or the drug problem? And I'll land right there. Would you ask that to me? Yes, brother. I'm just saying. You in America, right? Yeah. Okay. What state you in, brother? I'm in Cleveland, Ohio. I love Cleveland, Ohio. I got kinfolks in Akron. Right. I'm an old head. Yes. It's an old plan. Yes. I was just saying though. Do you agree we got a lot of problems in America too? Of course. Okay. Do you have a plan for them, bro? Some stuff. Okay. That's fine though. That's fine. I'm with you on that. Not just in Africa. Right? I ain't got no plans for Africa, none. Well, I have, because see, when we get it right in America, we get right around this planet. So I've been around the planet. See, my thing is, I seen the bad and ugly, bro. So I was in Nigeria, I was in Ghana. The white people over there, they fighting them. Right? And you got the tribe fighting each other. I told them, some tribe leaders, that we need to band together to get these goddamn crackers out of Nigeria. What tribe leaders you talking to? Oh no, it was like in the night. Saying, what was the name of the tribe? It was the Igbo and the Fulanis.
So, brother, you went and sat down with the head of the Igbo and the head of the
No, I didn't. They was out there. They was out there when I was out there. I was out there protesting with some brothers. And these white supremacist Irish, they came out there talking about we need to move.
Dude, hold on, wait, brother. And you was in Africa and some Irish white supremacists.
It was an Irish group of white supremacists. That's why I seen the Nazi flag.
In Africa?
In Nigeria, yes, sir.
Told y'all need to move.
Say what?
Told y'all need to move in Africa.
Yes, sir. It was in 92. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I won't have to lie to you.
And what was y'all protesting, just for the record?
Well, we were protesting. It was a security guard killed one of their tribe members or something. They were protesting, and they let the guy off. They let it was a white guy. I don't know what type of Europe he was, but he was white, and I was up there. And they told us get the hell out. They was on the police side. It was in Nigeria back in 92. But that was just in Africa. I protested over here too in America.
If you want to hear a nigga babble, bring the Pan-Africanism.
Okay, I'm babbling. Why you say I'm babbling, bro?
Man, you went over there in 92 telling no police to tell no flu.
Oh, yes, I was.
Man.
What's so hard? What's so hard?
Man, we don't want to hear these tall tales, man.
Okay, I'm proud.
Okay, because I had just walked away from a second, and I know I kind of said that we want to go ahead and let one person speak and then move it around. I know a lot of times people in the spaces, they want to address somebody else, and all that does is lead to a back and forth.
But check this out. If the brother don't believe me, it's fine. But I was just saying, in America, I protested against white supremacists. I was down there in Gina 6. Down there, all with white
African protest, though, that's.
Brother, travel. Brother, travel. I don't just know about travel, brother. Travel. You ever been to Africa, brother?
No.
Okay, travel. That's all I'm saying. If you can call me what you want. Go to Africa and see.
Brother,
I know you was
over there on 92 protesting with the food.
I was there. Yes, I was there. You got Igbo. See, the problem is, I don't know how well you know Africa. It's Igbos all over West Africa.
And you met with the Fulani and the Igbo, and you told the Irish man.
There was some Fulanis. Yes, they were there. No, I'm just. You don't have to believe me, bro. It's okay.
Brother, we shouldn't just. You too old to be just saying stuff just to win the argument.
Okay, no, sir. You don't have to believe in Pan-African. I don't push I don't push nobody on Pan-African.
No, what I'm saying is that, brother, you don't have to be saying these tall tales just to win the argument.
No, I have to win. I don't argue with no brother. You are my brother. Now, brother, if you know,
I have solutions. I have solutions, you guys.
Okay. What we're gonna do? We're gonna move on to the next speaker too, because like I say, we can't just have two people dominating the conversation, so we got to go ahead and move it on, and we'll get back to you guys.
Yeah, I was just saying my thing, right? If I was in the street fighting, I'll be with the brother.
Okay.
That's all I got to say.
Real talk. No problem on that. Let me go ahead and get the professor, and then I'm gonna go ahead and get the Miss T. Go ahead, Professor.
Yeah, thank you, that Newstoter. It's been a good space, bro, and peace, power, and reparation to everybody in the room. I got a question for you, Big Joe, because Black America, man, we have been very leery of Pan-Africanism for a while now, especially since two of our major leaders, and we're talking about, of course, Malcolm and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. were assassinated. And there's evidence, or there is foretold stories of people from the African diaspora that were infiltrated these men organizations or their groups.
Facts.
Oh, okay. See, so now do you understand why we as Black American, foundational Black Americans, are going to be skeptical about all of this bullshit when it comes to Pan-Africanism?
Yes, they infiltrate. Yes, they infiltrate.
Okay, so I want you to understand how the skepticism is very high when it comes to this. Now, I understand what you're saying. You're saying that we all need to be about white supremacy. We need to be all on one accord. But a lot of people that have been involved in this Pan-Africanism have not been on one accord. They have come even in these spaces, but just anywhere else, and they have attacked Foundation of Black Americans. They have went against us, man. Now, bro, you sound like one that's on one accord with us, and you are down with what we trying to do with reparations, and then like you said, we try to take down white supremacy too.
Facts.
But a lot of these motherfuckers are not on that same one accord.
Who are these motherfuckers? Who are these motherfuckers? I need to talk to these motherfuckers. Who are they?
Emmanuel Ayeko is one, and he has a large platform.
Emmanuel Ocho, I think it's the one she's talking about.
Oh, Ocho, is that his last name? Yeah. The Nigerian.
Yes, yeah, the Nigerian. Then that dancing gorilla, I think that's what he called him. So ain't that what he called himself, gorilla? The one that be dancing?
Yeah, he called, yeah.
Yeah,
but you telling me
like
gorilla.
Yeah, but Big Joe, you can start with our people like Sheila Jackson Lee. You can start with people in academia who say that they're in academia, they misuse and misrepresent historical references and always trying to put Africa on top of Black American history and descendants. So you can start anywhere, actually, if you like.
Yes. We need more allies. We need more allies.
Got even more. You want DJ to name more? Fuck it.
Well, I'm saying so basically, it's not all of them. It's just some of them, right?
No, it's too many to count.
Okay, exactly. My position is, I've been a Pan-African almost goddamn 30 years. Like I said, if y'all was in the street, everybody on this app who black or whatever y'all call yourself, I will be with y'all because I know warfare. If y'all want reparation, I'm with you. It don't matter where you from. You feel what I'm saying? That's what I was saying, though. My thing is that the people, the problem we have in America, we can solve it if we unite with a plan. I know Valva, my brother, I understand what he was saying, but we have to look at other people with other ideas so we can find out what's the problem. Then we find out what's the problem. We execute it. See, because back and forth ain't gonna get us nowhere, brothers and sisters. I'm here to tell you that. I tried. Now, I could be Pan-African. People might go against me, but I'm with y'all and what y'all doing. If y'all plan to help Black people on this soil, I'm down with you. And y'all go ahead. I'm going to talk to you, but y'all go ahead.
All right, let me go ahead real quick and get to Let me go ahead and get to Miss T. Miss T got her hand up, so Miss T, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Hey, Newstoter, what's up, DJ? Newstoter, you got a great room tonight. You got some heavy hitters in here. Welsing down there, Black Native. I can't wait till this stage gets lit. But thank you for the topic. I have not seen Monique's special. I have heard no good things about it at all. I heard it was very, very vulgar. You were the first person to say anything good about it.
No, I said she had some. I said she had some funny parts to it. I said, but I can understand what some people were saying as well too about the actual agendas they felt was being promoted as well too. But she had a couple funny parts about it as well too.
Yeah, I don't even think I'm gonna venture into it. I'm not a big fan of her stand-up at all. So, this has been a good room. I haven't been in space with Big Joe. Good to hear your thoughts, but regarding Pan-Africanism, it was lit back in the day, before the internet, before our knowledge, before we came into knowing that we're not flat black. Now that we know how they feel about us, the majority of them feel about us. We see that our works here are not being reciprocated anywhere else. Not in Jamaica, not in Haiti, not in any country in Africa. They want to say Uganda, but we know what that play is about. That's about you bringing your money there. It's not being reciprocated, and we can't keep allowing people to drink from our cup and the cup not being refilled. We created a place for people to escape to. If it's too bad where you are, you can come to America. We have everything set up for you. Nobody has reciprocated that to us. There is not a place we can run to if we wanted to just get away, to just flee. We don't flee, but it's just not being reciprocated. And now we know, we know how they feel about us, how they think about us. And we just...
Who the hell said that?
It was a lady.
Okay.
She's Nigerian. And they seem to emulate the white man, where we want to fight white supremacy. They want to be a part of white supremacy. Even when we elect them into office, thinking that they're going to fight for black issues, they get in there and they push a white agenda. They are just not on board with us. They don't want to deal with us. They want to assimilate into whiteness. We don't have any friends, not even in the Pan-African movement. And we know that now, and we just don't even deal with it. And I hear you, Big Joe. I hear you talking, but it's just not being reciprocated, brother. It's
like
just...
I said, that's right.
Okay, real quick, Big Joe, go ahead and mute your mic because we got a bunch of hands up here. So we'll put your hand up and we'll get back to you. But go ahead, Miss T.
Okay. And that's all I wanted to say. It's not viable. Is Pan-Africanism viable? Not for the Black American. And with that, I land my plane.
All right, thank you, Miss T. Let me go ahead and get to Phoenix. Phoenix, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Thank you for letting me speak again. And I'm going to second that again. It is not viable. But what I want to say is, because going back to Big Joe, and I think Bobo and that dialogue they had about solution, right? What we gonna do about here, and you know, it has to start local, right? So I know everybody probably heard me say this a whole lot of times, and I'm gonna keep saying it until we get some movement on it. But we need to be in these seats of power. How are we going to do what we going to do, Big Joe? We're going to go out in the street and we're going to cause a ruckus and then lose, a whole lot of people and then not have any plan for us in the system. I don't know if that is a viable plan. But what I do know is that right now...
Big Joe, you got to mute your mic real quick. Go ahead, Miss T. Go ahead, Phoenix. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Phoenix.
What we can do is start taking over these positions. If we don't do that and we don't start writing the policies, or how about this, blocking the policies that are being put forth against us, we will not have any way out. I mean, we're just going to always be subjugated to everybody else's whim. So I myself am tired of it. Now, what we can do, I know it sounds like a big lofty goal or a big lofty plan, but it's really not. I mean, we just start in all of our communities have positions, they have budgets, and we start from there. What we do is we move as a block. We all have our values and ideologies aligned. We move as a block, state by state. Or how about this? neighborhood by neighborhood, community by community, city by city, state by state, and we all do it. It just takes about 1,000 people. And guess what? We can do it because the dollar that everybody donates is going to run about 10 to 20 people because we're under one block in each location. So it doesn't take a whole lot. And then we can build on this system and plan later. But that's the plan. That's one of them. Then two, someone brought up Grandmaster Jay. Now he did something lofty for us. Now what we don't do is we don't want to leave that brother, in jail and not show him any support or any love by reaching out to him. He actually went out there and was standing up for our 2A rights. So we need to come together a little bit tighter, y'all. And then once we start getting it together and organizing, then the gangs will get it together. Because now the gangs are fighting Hispanic gangs because they are letting all these people over. And so it's not going to be gangs us against each other. It's going to be a whole situation where we're fighting all these people that we don't know. And the United States don't know nothing about them. And I wouldn't be surprised if they wasn't letting them over here to start street level situations with us to exterminate us more. So I'm going to land there. Thank you so much. I got somebody at the door, y'all. Sorry, I'll be back.
All right, thank you. Let me give a shout out to everybody who subscribed to the YouTube channel as well. While the space is going on, you can still go ahead and subscribe. It's up in the Jumbotron, so please go ahead and continue to subscribe. Everybody who's in the space who hasn't already subscribed, go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Let me go ahead and get to we're gonna get Rella next, and then we got Sunny next, and we got you, Black Pressure. Go ahead, Rella.
So I just want to say I agree with Phoenix, and I do believe that the local state governments are allowing the cartel over to actually develop a different plan to actually attack a lot of the street gangs. So there's wars that are happening on another level in another world. I always say there's two worlds. There's the world of law-abiding citizens, and then there's of course, there's the underworld that most of you probably don't really live in, but you are around, and it's in your community, and you try to avoid it. Again, this is not an attack on Big Joe, because like I said, Big Joe and LA Rob mentioned this earlier. This is Twitter. People don't really know what you've done in your life, so I'm going to take you at your word unless it comes up that it's not true. So I don't have to argue you down about who you are. And unfortunately, that's just a maturity that people have to come into their own. So at the end of the day, if you said you went over to Africa and you did those things, it is what you say it is. However, when it comes to, again, I'm going to say this again, no one in here is hating anyone from Africa. There's no campaign of hatred or anything like that going on. What it is, what we have been saying for the last 5-10 years, and prior to the 5-10 years, you can take it all the way back to 1776, 1865. You can take it back to 1960s. Black Americans, descendant of freedmen, American descendants of slaves, have always stated that we are so far removed from the continent that our culture has evolved and has developed this country. And again, I heard you say that you would support that and represent that. I need that to be done in narrative, in action, right? Not just people vocalizing that. And I think we've gotten away from even having these particular type of conversations because people want the just add dad, the instant, type of conversation to get people on, and then to hit that, let me just hit that ego so you feel good. You like what I say, but I'm not here to have you like me. We're here to break down the ish that we're in so we can evolve. Because everything I say is not always going to be the right way, but I need to be able to be added to the ingredients so we can go ahead and make this food and we can move on. And I land there.
All right, Big Joe, you got to mute your mic. All right, thank you, Rella. Sonny, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Yeah, you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, man. Peace to the host. Peace to Newstoter. Peace to forgot my man's name, co-host. Peace to Rella. Peace to the whole family in the space. Yeah, great conversation. I say this. The whole Pan-African thing. I think that Black Americans definitely got sold a pipe dream with the whole Pan-African conversation. I think it took away the focus from what we had going on over here. And like Vovo said, we was kind of taught to romanticize Africa. And this is not me disparaging Africa because, Africa is a beautiful continent. But it definitely moved the goalposts away from us because we got a beautiful country too. I've done road trips with my cousin. Bear Arms, I think he in the space. We got Florida. We got a whole island attached to a country. We got deserts, California, Colorado. It's people who ain't even been to all 50 states. The niggas is talking about going to Africa, bro. Like, America is a beautiful country, bro. Like, so, yeah, fill up your gas tank and, spin the block a couple times around the country. Another thing, too, is that everybody idea of Pan-Africanism is moving to America. I don't really get that. All the conversations that I hear about Pan-African this, Pan-African that, even amongst Twitter spaces, is everybody piling up and immigrating to America. That's not Pan-Africanism. So we can't practice Pan-Africanism if everybody is coming over here. I do believe that, for us to finally put the nail in the coffin with white supremacy, we do have to establish trades. People. So I never shoot that down. So I definitely think that, that'd be something that, we could do. We could trade especially, we could start that off really close, especially, amongst the Caribbean islands and stuff like that. We could, establish trading goods and things like that. I don't got no issue with that. I do. So I kind of going everywhere, but this conversation, there's a lot of nuance to it. But a lot of times with the Pan-African thing, Black Americans are gaslit with the whole conversation. So we're going to have an honest, open dialogue with people from the continent. It's going to be brutally honest. We're going to sit down at the kitchen table like family and have a conversation. And understand why participate. First of all, I need to know why people openly and willingly participated in the transatlantic slave trade to the point where white people wasn't even getting off the boats. All they had to do was pull the boat up, and niggas was lined up one by one, ready to get on the boat. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, it was a lot of dirty work. It was a lot of shit that was going on the continent too. So they got to be responsible and understand, that it's a lot of trauma to unpack there. And they, it doesn't make it any better when they have these tours, the year of return, going back to Ghana. You got to pay the $500 pack. You got to pay to watch the crazy shit your ancestors went through. And the shit is expensive. You know what I'm saying? It's not, hey, welcome home, I got you. You know what I'm saying? I got this aside for you. Here go an acre of land. Listen, Africa could easily do this shit. They just sold their mineral rights. They just sold copper and cobalt. They just did a mineral deal and sold away all the mineral rights to some white people. So, yeah, man, it's a lot of nuance to this conversation, Newstoter. So, and it needs to be a lot of it's a lot of people not being honest with the conversation when it comes to Pan-Africanism. Before I could open my arms and extend my hand like that, I need to know why, why that happened, bro. Like, we got to have a conversation with Africa, and it got to be, 100% thorough. So, yeah, because their hands is dirty with this whole conversation, too. So I'll land my mic right there.
Appreciate that, Sonny. I can give you an assumption of why I think they did it, and it was based off of profit. I mean, they felt it was a way of making money, even at the currency or whatever. They felt it was a way of becoming richer in their areas, so they went ahead and they went with it. So that's pretty much why they felt a way of dominating a certain region, a certain territory. They felt they was getting enemies out the way, and they went ahead and they sold people, and they got. And I mean, you got a lot of people to this day. Some of those kingdoms, some of those descendants are multimillionaires off of the actual transatlantic slave trade. So that's the reason why they did it. Profit. I mean, slavery is one of the oldest institutions and one of the oldest industries, I should say, in world history. So it was a way of enriching themselves in a kingdom and strengthening themselves and getting rid of competition at the same time. So one thing I do find fascinating, and Don, I'm gonna get you up here too. We got a lot of people up in this space. So I'm gonna have somebody drop down in a second. But one thing I find fascinating when we talk about Pan-Africanism, it's always about the United States. It's never about South American, the South American population of Black people down there. It's never really concentrated on the Caribbean Black people, but it's always concentrated on Black Americans and Black Americans' acceptance of Pan-Africanism. I mean, because let's be for real, you may actually have more Black people in South America, Brazil, and all of those other countries than you actually do here in the United States. But you don't hear people saying, well, how can we get the Brazilians and how can we get the South Americans to go ahead and be more on code in terms of Pan-Africanism? It's like it's always expected with Black Americans. So that's just my cue. And I don't even hear like a lot of Black people, like when I hear them say Pan-Africanism, they always go directly to the continent. But I never even hear Black Americans talk about, okay, what's the concept of Pan-Africanism in the Caribbean? How do Jamaicans feel about it? How do the Caribbean Blacks feel about it? How do the Haitians and the Dominicans and all the Bahamians, how the rest of them feel about it? So that's just my personal opinion on that one. We go ahead real quick. We got a couple of our speakers. We're going to try to get some of you guys, if some of you guys already spoke, we'll try to get some of you maybe to drop down. If you're not going to speak at this moment, you can go ahead and drop down too, so we can go ahead and bring some people up. Let me see. Don will bring you up, and that Negro, we got you coming up as well too. So let me go ahead and let me get because we got a new speaker up. Who was trying to come up?
Concerned citizen.
She's up now.
Yeah, okay.
I drop down, brother.
Okay, we got the people up here for right now. So
Big Joe. I just wanted to see what up before you go down.
Yeah. We got.
I saw somebody up here named D's Nuts. Now he can drop down too, cause he's just sitting there. So D's Nuts, you can drop down, please.
D's Nuts. You talk about who? Did you talk about that Negro?
Oh, wait a minute.
He talking about these. It's called These Devils Are Liars.
Oh, okay. Let me get Irie up in here real quick because I want to hear what Irie got to say. I know Irie, you had a space earlier going on talking about it, and you was talking about what's his name up in there as well too, Stokely Carmichael, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, peace and blessings to you, my boy Jersey. You already know what it is. Brother Professor, shout out to you as well. Yeah, man, we packed up Kwame Ture the Rat in a very eloquent form. It was done very professionally. It was done the way that you would want it to be done. I think that, to be honest, the people could recognize good work. That's why I see Ronald ran his little light-skinned half-ass out of here. Because, to be honest, one thing about Pan-Africa is that when you're talking about it, you can go ahead and promote this false ideology that when you go into real time. Hold on, let me go to a quiet spot. When you go into real time action, that shit does not exist amongst our people. It does not exist for any tangible benefit. And so I was looking up documents, not necessarily just articles from like the media or publications, but we was looking at the CIA website for all of the inner conversations they used to have regarding the American Negro. We were not looking up Kwame Ture. Up the American Negro in the CIA files. Kwame Ture keeps standing up, and this guy is not born here. He was born in Trinidad, Port of Spain, Trinidad. He is not an American Negro, but the media and all of these little people in the communications field called him the leader of the Negroes, and that clearly is not who he was. So they throw in the jacket on him as a leader when that's not who he is. Our people didn't receive him as such. Martin Luther King did not fuck with him. Did not fuck with him. We got word back from somebody who was with Martin Luther King at the time when the brother asked him, was Kwame Ture a rat? The man said, I don't know, but we didn't mess with Kwame Ture because of all of the salacious and hot shit he was talking about, killing government and stuff. See, our people have never been talking like that openly. If that's something that we was doing, we would use code words like down by the riverside type shit when we would do runaways. There was no way we were talking about killing presidents and secretaries of states. The only people in the history of this country that has killed secretary of states and presidents were the Knights of the Golden Circle, who were the people who were directly responsible for when we got Special Field Order 15 to kill out President Abraham Lincoln. And those members are those of the likes like John Wilkes Booth and such. But for Kwame Ture to now be this person coming from Trinidad, raised up, was not in our community, not brought up in our people, went to Howard, and then all of a sudden came out of Howard and then start going down this path of radicalism. Our people during that time was promoting civil rights, and the civil rights movement was the American Negro movement. The civil rights movement was a movement for the American Negro people. What he came pushing was black revolutionary, which means they're going to kill. These people were openly talking about killing people. Now, what you have to understand at this time is something that there was a true dynamic that expressed itself during the investigation of looking through these files. What expressed itself was that the Vietnamese people, the country, I think it was North Vietnamese, they were literally looking at the American Negro as an oppressed group that was ready to take our petition on an international level. So what COINTELPRO did effectively with this guy, and I wanted to be a little clear without the shadow of a doubt, Stokely Carmichael, also known as Kwame Ture, is the first progenitor of who named our people black when back in the days our people were going by Negro. This man started what was known as the Black Power movement in 1966 at an event in Mississippi. That event was supposed to be this black revolutionary in contrast to the American Negro revolutionary, as we would have called them, the American Negro civil rights movement. So we got Dr. King in there, we got Malcolm X, and then we got this fucking Tevin that's coming from where he was, and he fits the definition of the word, and you'll see why. He literally came out here and literally spoke against one thing that pertained to me particularly. I was born in Jersey City General. I used to get food from the Black Panthers when I was a young little homie sitting over there. PS-22 right at the street from Lafayette Projects, and the park right around the corner, going away from Liberty Science Museum, going towards the city. I ate food from a program the Black Panthers did. This man called the program that the Black Panthers did more like Salvation Army and like a thrift store or food giveaways. This man was against that type of revolutionary spirit within the Black Panthers, but he was for a revolutionary spirit from whatever group of people that were paying him to make us look like black identity extremists during that time. So this would have been the first person to have given us the jacket of black identity extremists, because when we look at the records and we look at the files, senators are now talking about labeling our movement as such, based solely off of Stokely Carmichael, whose name was changed to Kwame Ture as he left America. Mind you, another thing I would like to bring up too, and I don't want to be long, but we already went through a whole thing exhaustively. Kwame Ture literally pushed this type of energy in America that our people didn't push, so much so that the Black Panther Party's leader, E.P. Newton, labeled him a rat and issued a hit on his life. That means that he got one of our American Negro people killed. And our American Negro people sniffed out that Caribbean sauce on him from Trinidad. They sniffed out that he was coming over here to do something that our people was not part of doing. So he should have came over here like a Pan-African, because that's what they call him. He's one of their people. He should have came out here trying to unite with the black people here that he quote calls black power, and been able to exhaust our resources to go ahead and do what our people couldn't by adding bodies. He went counter to what the Black Panther Party was doing. He did not believe in feeding our community and tending to the American Negro community first. He was going and doing things like talking to Fidel Castro. How did he get there? First and foremost, he was doing these things while still trying to actively slide into the Black Panther Party. So this type of insertion of trying to get into our movement, then get in it and do salacious hit pieces saying that the Black Panthers and the American Negro, he's labeling the broad stroke of American Negro. Mind you, he promoted black power
Why is he mentioning American Negroes? Because he's trying to paint the jacket of black identity extremists on us to undermine our movement effectively. And then when he did so, and I'll land on this, he fled the country. Asada Shakur was ran out the country because she had to fight back. That's our people. This motherfucker went to go live in Africa for 20 years with his feet up, and no government personnel body was after him. Only the American Negroes. I'll land.
Excellent.
All right.
Excellent.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Irie. I appreciate you. Let me go ahead and we're gonna move it around because we got some hands up as well too. Thank you to the last subscriber to the actual YouTube channel as well too. Let me go ahead and get to Black Pressure. You still up here? Go ahead, Black Pressure.
Yeah, I'm right here. So I'm back. So you know what it is, News. Luke, I am your father. So look, I think it was and I apologize if I got it wrong. I think the brother's name was Sonny G44. He brought up some great talking points. But one thing a couple of things I'll contend with is when he said, like I say, great point about the transatlantic slave trade in Africa. And but you could juxtapose, excuse me, I'm sorry, don't know how to eat anymore. There's a big difference between the two countries. If you juxtapose them, that he was talking about traveling all over America. A glaring difference between the United States and the continent of Africa. America is not populated by 90+% black people like Africa is. And I'll add this too. America is definitely a beautiful country. And me and my father had this conversation. I've said this before in this room. And, I'm sure some of y'all will get upset. I say fuck America too, and this place can burn down. And I've said that before. America was the crescendo of the transatlantic slave trade. So you can't wash your hands. You can't say, well, Africa was the genesis of it. America was the crescendo of it. And I was talking to my father about this. I told him that my first and middle name meant more to me than my last name. And he was like, well, wow, that's our family name. I said, that's not our family name. I said, that's the name of the bastards that owned our foreparents. And I said, we got that last name in America. That my last name is Adams. My last name did not come from the continent of Africa. It came from America. So just like he said about traveling the country, just like people have like ill feelings towards Africa, I have the same ill feelings towards America because there's really no different. But the continents are really no different. When you peel the layers back, it's all white supremacy. And I'll land my plane there.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Black Pressure, as well. We got almost 100 people in here, guys. So please go ahead and tweet the space out. Go ahead and tweet the space out. And like I said, again, if you can support us on Cash App, it's $Newstoter, $Newstoter. Newstoter is the largest Black-owned, Black American news media curation platform today in America. Once again, it is $Newstoter, $Newstoter. So if you have $1 that you can donate or contribute, we would greatly be appreciated. Let me go ahead and let me get to Don too, because Don, you haven't had a chance to speak. You just got up here. Go ahead and unmute your mic, Don.
Hello, Hashi Squilla Low. I wanted to add on to what LaFarm, his timeline, and then also, and that was news to me. Not that I've ever really paid that much attention to Kwame Ture, but the globalism that was introduced. I just watched a debate. Pamela Denise Long was in a debate at MIT a couple of days ago, and she was debating DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, and there was a white man and an Indian, and he actually lived in Canada and has dual citizenship. And but they were basically ganging up on this issue, and he kept talking about emphasizing how, trying to characterize today as selective empathy, and how basically they're essentially the going mantra
is it doesn't matter when you got here, everyone needs help. Just the selective amnesia. But I wanted to talk about Shirley Chisholm. When she got here, also, I believe she's Guyanese in some other country. But what she introduced is genderism and the male-female, or the gender wedge. She introduced the precursor to the Rainbow Coalition. She actually came in talking about Black patriarchy in the Congressional Black Caucus. Just another example of someone coming in, just completely off code of where we were, pushing back against the Congressional Black Caucus, saying that they were just as bad as white men, and then forming this new coalition of white women, the urban poor, and Black Americans, or us. And this was the new coalition she pushed, and the whole gender issue. And it's just interesting how it was just so completely off key that they really, I was reading about how, there actually was a lot of animosity between Shirley Chisholm, and she's always held up as, the first, Black woman to run for president. But actually what she did was help to create that wedge and build that new, that people of color coalition. So another example of a way to dilute our targeted actions. And interesting what LaFarge was talking about, because it was, they the ones that really enlightened me to this legislation under the name of Negro. And I had gone to the seminar about a presentation about the Negro Convention movement, and not only that, but just the Negro movement, and the fact that there was all of this legislation. And I put together a timeline, and it was in 1970. So this must have been after. So like I said, to pick up where LaFarge left off, in 1970 was when the census named us Black, or defined us as Black. And you see the shift goes from legislation, immigration surge, and then all of these external pressures that result in us all of a sudden having a new name. And here we are with Black American, but I understand what you're saying, LaFarge. And it is a little, not overwhelming, but I won't say that I knew that in that context. But it makes me feel even all the more stronger about the concept of us adopting or embracing what we already are, which is a peoplehood, a people group. And we can't be part of any kind of Pan-Africanist situation until we are respected as our own people group. And then maybe we might want to decide to be part of this global descendants of Africans enslaved in the United States, whatever Cobra is trying to push. I get it. But like everyone says, Pan-Africanism has always been one-sided, and it seems like their goal is always to dilute and globalize our fight, to leverage off of what we all know is the case. We might not be as many here as in Brazil, but we are the richest melanated people in the so-called diaspora, and that's the reason. It's still a money game. They're quadruple dipping at this point. And I'll land there. Thank you for the time.
All right. Thank you. I believe it's either Vovo or Phoenix. I want to say it might be Vovo's turn, and we'll get to you, Phoenix, and we'll get to you, Irie.
All right, I appreciate you letting me speak, brother. Did you hear what I said earlier? I said, if you want to hear somebody babble, bring up Pan-Africanism. Did y'all just not hear all this babble from all these people? They just coming out of nowhere, just talking about everything but that. The other people, times in history, our names, all that. I've been having this conversation for years. It brings out the babble in people. I don't know what it is, but it's just just weird characters just come out. Like I said earlier, the only people left still talking about Pan-Africanism is old niggas that's just older. They from another generation.
All right, go for your times, though. The devil wants to speak. Let the devil speak.
What?
What are you talking about? Hey, go ahead, man. Go ahead.
Come on, bro. Like you throwing niggas off with that, bro. Damn, I forgot what I was saying. Yeah, old niggas that old niggas from another generation. Immigrants that lost their culture and now they want to say that we all just black, so that they lost their culture. They ain't going back to their country. And Dr. Umar Johnson, I said that earlier. If you wanna, somebody said, let's talk about the solution. The solution is for any problem that the people are facing, you have to indoctrinate the children. Me, I look both ways when I cross the street because I was indoctrinated as a child to look both ways. I brush my teeth and wash my ass every morning because I was indoctrinated as a child to do that before I leave the house. You have to instill this in the children. Dr. Umar Johnson, which I don't think it'll work, and I've been real critical of him. But as far as the Pan-African movement is concerned, he's got the best plan. Now, Phoenix mentioned earlier that the plan is we have to sit in these offices and get in these offices. Black people have sat in every seat there is to sit in America. Period. We've been in the Supreme Court. There was even a so-called black man that was the president of the United States. We've been mayors. We've been governors, judges, everything. That won't work. If you want the Pan-African movement to work, Dr. Umar Johnson want to grab these children from all over the world while they kids, indoctrinate them with the Pan-African with Pan-Africanism, give them an education, and then send them back to their country. Then they'll sit in high seats in their country, and they'll have that Pan-African mindset in their own country. If these people not going back to their country with the Pan-African movement, with the Pan-Africanism, I'm going to say, it ain't going to work. So that's the best plan. You have to indoctrinate the children. You have to instill that in the children. I'll land my plane, brother. I appreciate you letting me speak.
All right, no problem, Volvo. Let me go ahead. I'm going to get to Phoenix real quick, and then we're going to move it back around. Phoenix, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Hey, can you let someone else go in front of me, and then I'll be right back?
Yeah, that's fine. Let me get to these devils. These devils.
Lucifer wants to go.
Go ahead, these devils. Go ahead and unmute your mic.
So my phone about to die,
So you want us to skip you too then?
Pardon?
So you want us to skip you?
Yeah, because my phone is about to die.
Okay, no problem.
All right, then. Well, you did get thrown out of heaven, so we understand.
Let me go ahead and get to no, you just playing around, don't worry about it. Let me go ahead and get the Black Native. Black Native, go ahead, you're a new speaker, so I want to go ahead and let you get up in here. Go ahead, Black Native.
Hey, good evening, Newstoter.
What's up?
Good evening, everybody. I was going to speak on both topics. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. I watched the Monique Netflix special. I watched it yesterday. She's a little bit too raunchy for my liking, but some parts were funny. Up until she got to the part where she was speaking about her Uncle Tina. And then she all of a sudden came out of nowhere with this confession that she gave to her father that, she wanted to partake in carpet munching. And that literally came out of left field. I had been rooting for Monique for years when she was, up against Netflix. They didn't want to pay her, what she thought she was worth. They paid, I think, Amy Schumer $60 million, Dave Chappelle. And, finally she got her opportunity and that came in.
and I believe her husband was in the audience. But when they both wrote and directed. So I guess he's aware that, she goes both ways, or did she just say that, because, she just, Netflix has a diverse group of people who work under Netflix. So I don't know if she was just catering to them, or is she really bisexual? And
Hey,
why now?
she
like
might.
Monique is like 55 years old.
She might be.
That's been the thing. She's been out there. It's been out there, and that was the whole point. That's what I was saying earlier. She was addressing everything that people were talking about, and even trying to dispel rumors. And she was trying to say that she was trying to keep some of the things about herself a secret. That's why she mentioned her grandmother and the father. The father was actually her husband. She wasn't saying her real father, because remember, her real father.
Because that's when he died.
Yeah, he died. But she was talking about her husband. Remember, she calls him daddy. She calls him daddy. Yeah.
Orange is black. That's what Netflix is known for.
I say, hey, what age do you grow up? A damn 55-year-old dyke. I mean, get real, man.
Right. This is literally.
That's coming up this year.
Can y'all hear me? Or what?
Yeah, real quick. Let Black Native, everybody go ahead and let Black Native go ahead and speak too. Go ahead, Black Native. But yeah, we could hear you. Go. I know it's a delay in the system.
Okay. All right. It sounds like Monique grew up with a lot of trauma, as have most of us in this space. Nobody's family is, rosy without blemishes. But that was the first time I ever heard of her being bisexual. And I've been following Monique for quite some time. I actually met her when she came to Virginia, and she had that book out, what was it, Skinny Bitches, or Fat Women Hate Skinny Bitches, something like that. And I had went to her book signing. She's actually very beautiful in person. She's very beautiful, and she was humble. So yeah, that kind of shocked me. But let's get to this Pan-Africanism. I was like everyone else in here, the Peter Pan Africanist. I believed in Pan-Africanism. I always thought that maybe Black Americans and Africans would one day unite, or at least do business. We had the money, they had the minerals. It was a beautiful combination. But it seemed like it was a pipe dream, because only Americans and maybe some Jamaicans, maybe the Rastas, practice Pan-Africanism for the most part. I want to know why the countries, or it's 54 countries in Africa, why are they not practicing Pan-Africanism in Africa and then bring it on the road? Why is it just falling on our shoulders? And I find that as very problematic. Now, I don't know if I saw this on Twitter today with Julius Luima, the head of the EFF. He is now part of the Rainbow. Right, broke my heart. I've been following him for years. He is now part of the Rainbow Coalition. He has the rainbow flag.
Wait a minute. Wait.
Dude, she telling the truth. Bro.
What? Go ahead, Black Native. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It's on Twitter. He has the rainbow shirt with the rainbow flag, and he is going against Uganda, because Uganda said, "Hell no, you're not bringing that Western debauchery over in our country." So the head of the EFF, which I've been following for the past 12 years, is now he's down with the LGBTQIA committee, and he is going against Uganda. So that's your Pan-Africanism right there in a nutshell. Just for me being in these spaces and seeing these tweets, I didn't really think they felt that deep-seated, I don't know if it's envy or, what it is. that they have against Black Americans, but it's something, and it's been there, and we've been in denial for a very long time. And I was surprised to hear when Ivory Farmer was speaking about Stokely Carmichael, because my mother used to play him. I used to love him. He was the head of SNCC. But I do know about Shirley Chisholm. So see, now you're seeing all of this stuff play out. You have people coming from other countries pretending, yet again, this is what we're talking about, to be us, squeeze in our political movements, and then dismantle it. And so now we can't have that anymore. We can still deal with Africa if they want to deal with us. Business. You know, you got, like I said, we got the education, we have the money, you got the natural resources. Kick them Asians out your country and deal with us if you want to have Pan-Africanism. Deal with us. We're here. We've always been here, and we've always extended our hand, and it got slapped. And they kicked us in our ass and started calling us akatas. So, yeah. And you couldn't tell me nothing. I had the red, black, and green flag, cross colors, and all of that. But right now, it's not the time. We have to clean up our own backyard. And I land my plane.
Did I make one comment?
Hold on real quick. Let me see who we got up next. Go ahead and make it. Who said that they ready? Who said that? I think
it was the devil.
Oh, it's Phoenix. Go ahead, Phoenix. Real.
I'm sorry, my bad, sister. The Lucifer said.
Yeah, that Professor. That's cool. Professor. Yeah, let's go ahead.
Anybody else going to speak on this EFF situation with the head of the EFF now? The cheerleader. Okay, go ahead, sis. Go ahead. Break it down.
We don't get a chance to hear Lucifer speak.
Hey, we got too many people speaking at one time, y'all. So we gotta have one person speaking. Let Phoenix go ahead and get it in what she's got to say, because she was supposed to go up, but then she elected to go afterwards. So Phoenix, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Thank you. I just really want to ditto, piggyback off of, echo, all of those things that Black Native just spoke of. She spoke everything of my heart. So there is this big push. Well, I can't speak on the Rainbow Coalition part of it, but there's been a common theme that I've been hearing during this conversation. Like Sunny said, there's a lot of nuances here. But let me just address what's going on in Africa with the push to get the French out and get their banks off of the franc. And that's why Africa's been poor this whole time, because the French have been, keeping them on their monetary system and keeping the value of their money down. That's why crypto is a game changer for Africa and for a lot of third world nations. So that's the game changer. That's who really into it. If we can do business with our brothers and sisters over there, and I did reaching out to the Caribbean. Haiti has a long history with us, and they have stood and fought with us in the past. These are modern times right now. So I feel like when they come over here, whomever comes over here, especially if they're heavily melanated and called chocolate or caramel, whatever, they need to do when in Rome, you do what the Romans do. When in America and you Black, you do what Black Americans do. Positive, okay, let's keep it all positive, not everything. They tend to pick up the negative shit, but, stick to the positive things. When you are in another country, say, for example, the Europeans, when they go to their European, brethren countries, if they come over here, they pretty much stick to the rules that they're going to do over here. And vice versa, whatever. So, and we would be expected to do the same thing, which is what we do when we go other places most of the time. We honor their system. We don't try to infiltrate the system. We don't try to turn it upside down, topsy-turvy. We fit within it. We try to make it a little bit better, just subtly though. We work in subtle ways. So I'm going to say this. The common theme that I have heard from tonight, just with Irie, and I love his explanation of Kwame Ture, and I love everybody talking to him. And I hear the term Negro and Black. Negro and Black. And so then I start thinking, and I'm like, oh, that's where the infiltration comes in at. Because how are we going to, they were also called Black and Negro in their respective countries too, by the Europeans or whomever else. So when they come here and they just, that's how the flat black happens, right? So in our delineation, we have to pick something that is not of color, but of our lineage and our heritage here in America. Because as long as we continue to use those terms only, we can continue to be infiltrated. And that is just it. I'm not even suggesting any term, but I'm just looking at a common thread that has caused the infiltration and the tearing down of the things that we've tried to build or tried to move forward. And it's always been, and I heard it a whole lot of times tonight, at least 5, that these infiltrators were called Black and also Negro. So I'm just saying, we might want to shift and pivot to something, a term that has nothing to do with color, but all Americans. That's all. And I land.
All right. Thank you. I know, Irie, I know you've been waiting for a minute, so let me go ahead and but before I get to Irie, I want to read a comment off of YouTube from Love My Folks. She says, how are we going to be doing business with Africans when we don't have an army to back us when deals go wrong? This illusion that we're going to be doing trade overseas with all the corruption, how will you protect your interests? So this is from Love. And like I said, I always hear about, and I said it before, I always hear about the actual trade overseas with Africa, and because we know Africa is rich with resources and stuff, but you never hear anybody say anything about trading with the Caribbean, who's right in our backyard. Like I never hear anybody say, yeah, we should set up some kind of trade partnerships with the Caribbean, considering, let's think about it. I'm in the state of Florida, and I know Cuba is not a black country, so to speak, even though Cuba has a lot of black people there, and Cuba had to bring in Europeans to kind of dilute that blood, but Cuba's 90 miles away from Florida. I never hear anybody say, well, yeah, we need to go ahead and set up a trade partnership with the Caribbean or even South America. But it's no, let's go 5,000, 6,000 miles overseas to Africa. And I get what they're saying. Africa is mostly black. The resources are there and everything else, but I never hear that. So I just always wonder why it's always Africa in terms of the when you start hearing the Pan-African talk, but it's never like, hey, let's set up a partnership with the Bahamas, or let's set up a partnership with St. Croix or one of these islands that's maybe 200 miles away from Florida. That'll be basically in your backyard, and you could probably put people over there to supervise and see exactly what's going on. So that's just a little food for thought. That's just how I see things. But Irie, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Hey, bro, I'm gonna keep it all the way real. Like, I'm over here listening to this Pan-African struggle space. They crying so bad because I guess Kwame Ture, the rat, must have had such a soft spot in their heart, so heavy. I guess they must have felt that Kwame Ture, the rat, the government op, was so heavy in their minds of quote Pan-Africanism that they weren't able to look at the CIA workings and files that they was using this Negro or this Caribbean Negro for the purpose of going ahead and making this whole operation become this whole little infiltration plan that they had to come at the American Negro to get us labeled with jackets that our people was never even with, bro. We was not coming out here talking about assassinating presidents. We was not talking about assassinating secretaries of states. We was not talking about assassinating any motherfucker, because our whole push was that we were non-violent and that we was coming for our civil rights. Here comes black power and black revolutionary, black American power by a non-black American, by a fucking tether, by a whole person who does not have any descendantry from slavery, coming to mess up the whole movement from the descendants from slavery. We see a whole Trinidad tether, a whole Trinidadian op much like many people who come from the Pan-African persuasion, coming into our movements, hating the word Negro, understanding it separates them from flat black. They'll be black a million miles over, but they won't walk a fucking foot in Negro-ness. They told our people who was feeding our community that that was boring and not what black revolutionaries do. But black revolutionaries start something in the Negro community that becomes a standard of the federal government called the school lunch program. That was started by the Black Panther Party, who was serving American Negro communities, whom Kwame Ture is recorded on the record saying that that's just goddamn thrift stop. That's Salvation Army work. That's not black revolutionary. So what the fuck is black revolutionary? What is a black revolutionary in today's time? Is it much different than back then? Is black revolutionaryism anti-American Negro? This is why we say we want lineage-based reparations, and they're saying reparations for all people, because Kwame Ture got evidence of his record saying that the American Negro was supposed to push the plight for America, and then all black people all over the world. At that time, we was only 19 million deep, 10% of America's population, and we were supposed to carry the whole fucking world of blackness. There's 1 billion plus people in a whole fucking continent who black represents. They can't carry the fucking burden. They can't come over here and say, if you keep treating these Negroes like this, we're going to cut you off in our countries. No, because they don't give a flying fuck. They don't care. And it's time that we start recognizing what we call Black American was started by this fucking Caribbean rat. You were not calling yourself that. My people were not calling themselves that. We were calling ourselves things Negro and all things Negro. Why you think we got Negro leagues? Why you think we got a Negro college fund? Why you think we got a National Council of Negro Women? Why would we start calling ourselves something that represents greatness if Negro meant nigger? Get over your fucking feelings. Because it's not true. It's a false projection of a COINTELPsychot, and these motherfuckers is playing real time with our ancestors' bag. Every Pan-African on any reparations board is there to undermine the American Negro and not allow financial resources to hit our accounts so we can do what we do in our own community. Because if we were left alone to have our own money, to hit our own companies, to hit our own monies, to hit our own accounts, we don't need no motherfucking Freedmen's Bureau. We don't need no government. We don't need no African. We don't need NARC. We don't need a COBRA. We don't need any of these organizations because we know what to do for ourselves. If you don't believe me, listen to the short nigga from Jersey City, New Jersey, from motherfucking PS22, right up the street from Lafayette Projects, who the Black Panthers gave extra milks, extra motherfucking milk cartons, put a fucking milk crate on the back of plywood. So when
Okay, let him go ahead and finish up, y'all, real quick. I know everybody's coming off their mic. Let him go ahead and finish up. Go ahead, Irie.
I was just saying that was the WIC program. That's all.
Oh, my mama, trust me, I know. That's the program where you got to peel a little wrapper off the back of the bacon and off the back of the cheese. Trust me, I know. I'm from Section 8 where you got to make sure the house clean because if the house dirty, you lose your voucher. Trust me, I know. My grandmother gave me the old food stamps when you go to the store to get change in American currency. Trust me, I know. Trust me, I know. I'm the nigga from the fucking streets that was living like that. So when the Black Panthers came and gave me chocolate milk and I could go ahead and get my basketball court hoop set up, because they went ahead and put a milk crate on the back of plywood and set it up right in front of my house so the American Negro can at least get a motherfucking decent hoop. The Black Panthers did that for me. But that work, that type of love for our community, the Pan-African calls Salvation Army work. So please put it into perspective. Please get your historical facts right. Because the people who do not study their own history will be doomed to repeat it. Peace, power, and Negro reparations. You Pan-Africans got me losing my voice, but I'll never lose my sauce, nigga. 100% American Negro A1 all day. Bold, spicy, tangy, and hotter than a motherfucker.
Okay, appreciate that. Yeah, everybody could tell everybody's they going in tonight, so I have to give them everybody credit. Whether you agree with their points of views, you can hear how passionate everybody is about this actual space right here. So
Devil's waiting for you there, Newstoter. The devil's waiting for you, man.
Oh yeah. These devils. Is your phone straight now? These devil.
Yeah, my phone is straight now.
Okay, go ahead and unmute your mic.
I want to speak on
Hey, just real quick. Hey, just hold on 1 second. Hey, Sister Wilson, I'm trying to bring you up. You might have to drop your phone down and come back up. But go ahead, these devils.
Okay. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, yeah, I said hello, everybody. Okay, good. First, I want to speak on the Monique thing. I don't remember who the young lady was talking about. She was talking about she wants to be a car promotion. But, and how did somebody turn that way being that old? Well, I don't know if you guys know, but Monique was molested by her brother. And molestation causes all types of different situations if you don't get no help for it. It's kind of the same, actually. But when you have been sexually abused, your thought process is not normal. You've been changed from the person that God meant for you to be when somebody does that to you. So that's my little explanation for that. So she might have from all. Well, I can also expound on the fact that I worked at, when I got out of bartending school, my first job was at a gay male bar. And the only reason I took it is because they were paying damn near double what everybody else was paying because white weren't working. I learned a lot of lessons, got a lot of education from the people, and a lot of them have been sexually abused. That's why I'm saying I know that warped kind of thinking that can go with that if you don't get help for it. So that's just my little explanation for that. Now, on the Pan-African, I ain't siding with no how, not any time. Now, they can act like they done changed their attitudes or whatever, but I think that's all for a possible money grab. They always said that we were lazy, uneducated. They have all these things to say. But as soon as they get over here, they seek out these white men. They got whole websites on IG that is just African women looking for white men. But I have been to Uganda, and homosexuality and all that kind of stuff over there, you better keep that down low and hidden way under. Even though when I went there, I was surprised to see black men walking down the street holding hands. But our tour person, my sister is a manager, and she was the manager for their hometown boxer, Justin Juco. That's why we were down there. So our trip, I can't really say how the trip would go if I went there like on my own, but under that umbrella that we were under, we were treated like celebrities. I mean, we were on TV and got guards and all that other stuff. So they were very nice then when we were with Justin, but I don't know how they would act if we came over there by ourselves. And I just the whole thing with that teaming up with them, I don't trust them. We'll never trust my land.
All right, thank you, we appreciate it. Let me go ahead real quick and get to concern. Don, I'm gonna go ahead and let you say something real quick. Go ahead, unmute your mic.
Hey, Akata means lost cat. A recent article just came out. 500 million Africans have no fucking birth certificate. So that is uber projection. So the next time you get into one of those conversations, it is they who are the Akatas. I wanted to talk about Uncle Luke, another foreigner. Let's notice the pattern, the irrefutable pattern of how they inject behaviors outside of, or they're always coming in outside of code. What is Luke's claim to fame? His First Amendment case where he introduced or codified degeneracy and made it a feature or a false feature of our community. So I just wanted to amplify once again and for us to see that not only do these people seem to come at it in at very opportunistic times, which in fact they do, it typically follows policy wins. Freedmen's Bank, et cetera, soon after that, forgotten about. And then we get to the Negro era, massive policies written. And then next thing you know, here comes Kwame Ture. I tell you, if you lay it out on a timeline, it's as clear as a bell. Policy wins, mass immigration, and then name change. And here we are, and we will pivot after April 12th to AAPI and why Negro is such a valuable asset that we almost let slip through our fingers. But they know how valuable it is. And so we'll be talking more about that next week. I just want to amplify, what the American Negroes are saying, but without the respect of one another and peoplehood, I wouldn't have been able to receive this information properly from my brothers. So I just want to put that out there.
All right. Thank you, Concern. And once again, I have to say it, guys, if you get a chance, please think about donating to us on Cash App, $Newstoter, $Newstoter. I know they were saying that this is the New Black Media Appreciation Month. So if you guys find somebody within the New Black Media, be it Tariq, be it Jason Black, be it Vicky Dillard, be it Professor Black Truth, be it Beatzilla, be it Black Alpha, find somebody within the New Black Media that you guys enjoy listening to and you enjoy their content, and please make a donation to them sometime this month. Doesn't have to be today, doesn't have to be tomorrow, but sometime this month, find somebody that you appreciate and that you enjoy their content within the New Black Media. Find that person and make a donation to them. Like I said, if you want to, $Newstoter, $Newstoter. Remember, Newstoter is the largest Black-owned curation media platform today in America. Let me go ahead and get to it's got to be Black Pressure. Black Pressure, you still up here? Let me go to Black Pressure, Volvo, and then we got you, Rella, and then Phoenix will get you too.
Hey, just a couple of things real quick. I'm going to borrow a piece of Rella's intellectual property, which I thought it was a great observation. Like I said when I first spoke about Pan-Africanism, it's a great idea, but up to this point, it's a fairy tale. I'm actually with Pan-Africanism, but Rilla made a good point. You can't have the idea of Pan-Africanism when you never ever see an African from the continent come over to America and admonish the American government. It's always Black people in America standing up for Africans. It's always us putting our life on the line, our reputation on the line for Africans. And it's never the Africans there coming over here and reading America and America's leaders to riot at. So that's one thing. And a second thing, I just want to turn the heat up ever so slightly, if I may. I know we were talking about Malema and the brother, I guess the brother that spoke 2 speakers ago, talking about Kwame Ture.
Talk about Irie? Yeah. Okay.
I'm sorry, I couldn't remember his name.
Go ahead.
So I want to start some shit and I'm going to back off. So if you look at real revolutionaries and real Black leaders, you could, we all know the usual suspects. Malcolm X, murdered. Martin Luther King, murdered. Medgar Evers, murdered. You could even go to the continent. Steve Biko, murdered. Patrice Lumumba, murdered. Right? All these guys, they rolled up their sleeve, planted their flag in Black consciousness and Black intelligence and Black self-defense. Even people make the argument Khalid Abdul-Muhammad was murdered. Like I say, people make the argument. I won't go there right now. But my question is, you see all these guys, they were genuine with this, even up to it costing them their lives. How the hell is Louis Farrakhan still alive? And I really have that question. Because people claim he goes so hard for Black. Man, you still living. I can't buy it, man. And I'll land my plane there.
All right. Appreciate that. Black Pressure. Real quick, I'm gonna jump her in here. Let me jump Wilson in here, Wilson, because everybody else has had a chance to speak tonight. So let me go ahead and get you up in here. Wilson, go ahead, and then I'm gonna get to you, Volvo. Wilson, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Hi, how are you?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm well, thank you so much. A couple of things. Look, back in 2021, there is one of the most respected think tanks in the world is located in Stockholm, Sweden. It's called the International Institute for Democracy and Electoral Assistance, the IIDEA. And they are well respected because they give an annual report that every country looks at. An annual report it's like an intergovernmental organization that they work to support democratic institutions. Basically, they came out in 2021 and they said that the United States is a declining democracy for the first time in its history. And that it's actually, they said it's a backsliding democracy. And they named two components that has caused it. But for this room, the main one was America's deep-seated, deep-rooted racism. They basically said that the quality of America's freedom is on the decline. And they named one event, and that was the George Floyd slaughtering and all the protests globally around the world. America cannot let go of their racism. They told you time and time again, and they show us every day, that more than their health, more than the economic stability, more than anything in the world, they will align themselves with white supremacy and the entire system dynamic that comes with white supremacy. Because white people are on the decline, and when I say on the decline, meaning there was a study, and I read this study, where white people are dying by three ways. They're dying by drug overdose, they're dying by liver disease, which is cirrhosis of the liver, and they're dying by suicide. It's related to what I'm about to say next. It's related to the fact that 50 years ago, or almost 50 years ago, America sold themselves to China. America is responsible for the fastest growing middle class in the world, and that's China. Second is India. Okay? We have basically robbed middle America and given it to China. We are supporting their communism. We don't have the foresight to grow our own in this country. When I say grow, educationally, technically, infrastructure-wise, let's go to infrastructure. The key component to logistics and operations in any company is how expeditious you can move product, how expeditious you can procure parts to manufacture product. This was my forte in my past life, and I know this. What China has over the world is that 2/3 of the fastest trains in the world are in China. 2/3 of the world's fastest trains are in China. Why is that important? It's important because that's how product is moved. That's how parts can move from one way to the other to be procured and to sell. America has given up their infrastructure for years. We don't have that kind of infrastructure. We have taken away education in manufacturing and technical jobs. That's now given to illegal immigrants for the most part. and also, as I said earlier, sold out to other countries in the United States. In the world. And so what we are having now is an implosion. And again, America has turned their back on reparations for Black Americans. They will rather support racist countries like Ukraine. The Peace Corps already told us that countries like Ukraine is anti-Black hate, deep-rooted. They don't, look what they just did in Tennessee. They will make laws to do what they want, when they want, and to whom. And they are not going to stop at the expense of everybody else until they get what they want. And that is to be a white supremacist country, and that's my belief. And they will use Africa. America had an opportunity to help Africa and the Caribbean with their infrastructure. And it was under Obama, and he did not do it. China came in, improved the infrastructure in the Caribbean and also across Africa. They knew they could not pay them back, and they own them now. They are actually owning them, and now what you have is a situation where they are creating a global power, forging themselves with Russia, and now we're reading that they're creating a new currency, really encouraging countries in Africa to relinquish the use of the United States currency. There is a reason for all this, and America, I think in the next 10, 15 years, will not be the global power that they are. They're going to take a back seat to China, and when I say we, I'm talking about America, has no one to blame but themselves. We are so greedy, we are so racist, that we cannot see what's happening around us. When I say around us, I'm talking about globally. They're coming for us. And I land with that.
All right. Thank you, sister. Let me go ahead and get to Volvo. Volvo, go ahead and unmute your mic.
It was a lot said. I'm gonna try to remember everything, but as far as what the sister just said, we don't need a rail system. So we got the best infrastructure in the world. I'm in the transportation industry. We move freight across this country at lightning speed. Amazon, if you order something on Amazon today, it'll be there tomorrow. So we get the product moved. We don't need a rail system. The reason why they need a rail system is because their infrastructure isn't great. We move these trucks around America at lightning speed. Far as it was a lot said, man. Damn. Far as I wish Black people would say would stop talking like we do big business, because we don't do big business.
I know, right?
Huh? What?
I'm sorry, I amplified.
I don't know what she's talking about, but yeah.
Just go ahead. She was just agreeing with you. Go ahead.
Oh, okay, yeah. I wish we would stop talking like we out there doing big business. Black people got this thing where I don't want to mess with Africa, but if we want to do if we can do business with Africa, but I don't want to mess with Africa. I wish we would really stop saying that. Black people ain't got nothing to sell. We ain't got nothing to move. We act like we out here just doing big business and we doing international business. I do business with Africa, but I ain't going over there. We ain't doing no business. We ain't doing no business. The only business we do is our entertainer. Meet me or go over there and do a concert. That's it. Other than that, we ain't got nothing to sell. I really wish we would stop saying that. That's real irritating, man. You know what I mean? And then if we did have something to sell, the thing that we missing is what the sister was saying, the last speaker. China ain't about to have none of that. They ain't about to have none of that. They trying to cut the white man out of Africa. You think they gonna let us come over there and sell something? Come on, y'all. We gotta. That's one thing about black people. We always late to the party. When they say that we on black people time, that's real. That applies to everything we do. We be really late on shit. I mean, extremely late. Now, what she touched on about the global currency, remember I was talking about that the other day? I've been talking about that for years. We still talking about reparations. Reparations might not even mean nothing. If they come out with this global currency, sus, it ain't gonna take no 10 to 15 years. We gonna start feeling this in 10 to 15 weeks. It's gonna be that fast. That fast. If these people start sending the dollars back to America and flood the market with the dollars they've been holding, and now it's too many dollars. Inflation already is going up. You know, I remember when when I was a kid, the shit you can get for $1, you can't even get for $1 today. If you give a little kid $1, he might laugh at you. He can't go to the store with that. So the dollar don't mean as much. Imagine if they start sending the dollars back, because now they got China money now. China know that they couldn't pay back them loans and all that shit. China went over there building shit so they can owe them and they can get on China money and they can cut the dollar, cut the white man right out of the global financial market. That's where we at right now. China and the rest of these countries that America then made, and when you say we so racist and we doing that, it ain't we, it's these white folks that's running shit. Because black people ain't got nothing to do with that. We at the mercy of these white folks.
You took that very literally. That's what I meant when I say white.
Yeah, I know what you meant. I'm just correcting. You know, we at the mercy of these white folks. These white folks that went all over the world making enemies. They went all over the world destroying these folks' countries, blowing these people up, cheating them, taking all their stuff, giving them this paper and not giving them nothing in return. Nothing in return. China going over there actually building stuff. I used to be mad at China and say, look at what China doing in Africa and all the stuff they doing, and they taking all these folks' stuff. These folks can't do nothing with that stuff. That stuff been sitting in the ground for thousands of years. They've been stepping all over that shit for thousands of years, walking over top of gold, oil, diamonds. They can't do nothing with that.
Well, now, just to get to that. Now, at one time, they did control the actual gold trade over there. They did control the salt mine trade and stuff like that as well too. Now, let's not act like at one time they didn't have their own industries pre-colonialization and everything like that. They had industries and stuff like that over there. They had empires. They had kingdoms. Well, they definitely had kingdoms and city states. So they had resources. But go ahead.
This is 2023. See, that's what I remember when I said we late to the party. Remember when I said we late to the party. That's why the white folks always make fun of us and say we was kings. They know what is you doing today? What is you doing? If you knew how to handle it then, you should be able to handle it today. They can't handle that stuff. So the world ain't about to wait for them. China go over there and take that shit out of the ground and build them a hospital, build them a road. Now they're gonna say don't take them. It was like a high-ranking official in Kenya saying, hey, he's telling his people, hey, if you hold dollars, get rid of them. Right now, get rid of them. Imagine if all of the world go off the dollar. That's going to be it. That's what they're trying to do. Right now, as we speak, they actively working on that, and black people ain't even paying attention. These white folks is hitting the panic button. They is hitting the panic button. They hitting the panic. They just had the president of Taiwan. They met her in Los Angeles because they trying to butter up to her and say, please don't go with China. Please don't go with China. They rubbing her feet. The white folks is panicking because this is going to be the end of white supremacy. See the end of their dominance right now as we speak. And black people late to the party talking about peace, love, and reparation. Man, I'll land with that, brother. I ain't gonna hold the mic up because I go all day. Thank you, brother.
Okay, no problem. I will say one thing about this, and I agree with you on a large scale. When you say what does black people have to offer, and if you talk about terms of going over there with businesses, let's not say that there are no black businesses here in America, because we have black people that own construction companies, we have black carpenters, we have we have black plumbers, we have black construction workers, we have a lot of black people that's skilled labor right here in this country as well too. Now they don't get the kind of funding and they don't get the kind of help that their white counterparts and the Asian counterparts and the Hispanic counterparts have as well too. And we don't have nearly as many of these people as we should have. But we have black plumbers, we have black electricians, we have people that can go over there, architects and everything else that can go over there and build grids up. Yeah, so I mean, you can't say we don't have anything to offer. We have black billionaires in this country. We have black multimillionaires in this country. We have black people that have the capability. It's just being able to actually go over there and do something. At the same time, you can't expect 40 million people to compete with China, which is the largest nation on earth and has the second biggest economy poised to overtake America one day. And say, well, hey, y'all go over there and compete and this and that. We know you can't do that. We simply don't have that. And, we have to worry about taking care of business over here. Now, Don, I saw you put your thumb down. So exactly what are you putting your thumb down about? What did I say which was not true?
Well, I was trying to get your attention, and so I was successful because didn't want to wait any longer, and I'm rude. But
hold on, Don. But hold on, I'm just trying to figure.
I do have some response. I'll wait, but
Well, go ahead, Volvo, because I'm just trying to say because you're a truck driver yourself, and I'm sure that there's other black men and stuff that own trucking and everything else in this country as well too. So I'm just saying that now you would agree that there are some black people that have that have businesses and stuff that could, if they did go over there, they could contribute as well. And I'm not saying they're going to do that, but it's not at the scale that the Chinese and these other nations, Russia and all these other people can do, because you're talking about comparing nations to actually just regular citizens. So on a large scale, no, we couldn't go over there and do anything like that as well too. But that's the whole thing about this whole Pan-African thing that we're talking about right now. When these nations in Africa started gaining their independence back in the 60s, they didn't reach out. And this is one thing that Dr. John Henry Clark said, the most technically skilled black people in the world were in the United States of America. So if you were truly concerned about trying to go ahead and create this Pan-Africanism, this utopia, during the 60s, when black people was gaining their civil rights over here, and you becoming independent, you would start saying, well, hey, let us start bringing some of these students in these HBCUs over here that's doing agriculture and mechanical. Let us start bringing some of these technical people, these black people over here that have the skill and the know-how, and we can go ahead and we can get things rolling and stuff like that. But they didn't want to do that. They decided to go ahead and invest in neo-colonialism. So that's why a lot of Africa is to the point that it is right now. They still getting money from the Europeans, pennies on the dollar for their resources. You're right. The Africans, the difference between over there in Africa and the difference between the Middle East is that those people were sitting on all that oil in the Middle East, and they decided to go ahead and, hey, yeah, if you're going to extract some of this oil out of here, you're going to have to give us X amount of dollars for this right here. And you're not going to shit us. The people in Africa, because you have these puppets in place who get hundreds of millions of dollars while their people starve, and you got people out there genociding and one another. Instead of them trying to go ahead and actually build an infrastructure up over there, they're so greedy. That's why a lot of these dictators and stuff, when they get sick, do they go to African doctors on the continent? No, they take their ass over there on a private jet and they go to Europe and they get treated. And all of these African immigrants that then come to the West, and by the West, I mean the United States, I mean France, England, everything else that got educated. Did they go back home like the Japanese did in the 40s and the 50s and say, hey, let us go ahead and build an infrastructure up of our homeland? No. A lot of them stayed right in the places where they felt comfortable at with their high-tech training, their education, and everything else, their skill level, instead of going back home and doing for their people. So that is the issue. Like I said, had a lot of those African presidents, when they started gaining independence in the 60s, in the 70s, and the 50s even, had they said, you know what? We see the potential in Black America. If we can get them, not only Black America, their education and their technical prowess, but hell, let's be for real. They've been serving in the biggest and the strongest most equipped army in the world. Let us go ahead and train with these people. Let us go ahead and make a partnership. Let us go ahead, since they're part of the African diaspora and all of this and that, let us go ahead and give them back the land that was stolen from their families and go ahead and give it to them for free. They don't have to pay one dime. Come over here and train us and show us how to do stuff. Hold on. I don't know who coming off their mic, but stay on your mic. They could have went ahead and done that in the 60s. I know why they talk about, well, if you want help, you've been giving away land and stuff for Bibles and shit. When you had colonization coming over there, people coming over there with Bibles and stuff, and you're giving away land and everything else. Why wouldn't you give it to the actual descendants of slaves who can go ahead and show you how to take this land and how to tilt it and how to get it right? So that would make the most sense.
Preach. Listen, brother. Let me say this, right? See, what you were saying, you said we got truck drivers and construction workers and all that. You just not getting it. That's why I say black people, we always late to the party. I just said that earlier. We at the mercy of these white folks. We don't do no international business. It's millionaires and
Don't forget about 400 years of sabotage too.
I know that, brother. That's what I'm saying. Brother,
I mean, real talk.
It's not at the table for real. Like Bobo's telling us that they push it. Hold on real quick, Don. But Bobo is clearly telling us that these white people are pushing it. But I be in these spaces listening to the way they talk. We just not at that
Negro spiel. And
yeah, whatever you gotta say for sure. You're free.
Hold on.
I'm gonna go ahead real quick, and I'm gonna let Volvo.
Just real quick, brother, because you was.
Hold on, real quick. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna let Volvo finish up, and then we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna get to the hands in the actual room, and then we'll go ahead and let everybody get their say in there. Go ahead, real quick, Volvo.
I'm gonna try and keep it under a minute. I'm gonna try to keep it under a minute. I know it's a lot of people that's been waiting, but. Yeah, we got black construction workers, truck drivers, black people that own businesses and all that. But our government don't support us doing that. That's what I was saying. Who do you think is going over there to these that's leaving China, going to go build the hospitals in Africa and build the roads over here in whatever country they building roads in and building the infrastructure? Who do you think is doing that? It's the Chinese businessmen. Sponsored by their government. It's the Chinese business owners. It's the Chinese guy that started the construction company in China, and he built up a neighborhood. And then the Chinese government seen that in him, and they said, "Hey, come on, you know what? They need a hospital in Uganda. You know how to do the work. We gonna sponsor you to go over there and go and build it up." That's who they're sponsored. They're sending their people out into the world to go build up these other people's nation and get them on the money. Black people don't do international business because the white folks won't let us. They won't get out of our way. That's what I was saying the whole time.
Yeah, I think you just need to clarify, because it sounded like when you were saying it was like, hey, we didn't have the initiative, or we just, almost like we just didn't want to do it or whatever. But yeah, you got to put it in the context that, hey, you got sabotage coming on right from the people in this country. So I feel what you're saying on that part too. Let me go ahead real quick and go ahead. And Don, you were next. Go ahead and unmute your mic.
Thank you. I just want to push back on all of that.
Oh, it was you. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It actually what? I'm sorry. It actually is Rella, Don. It's Rella, and then it's you. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Rella, and then I'll get to you, Don.
Okay, so I'm not gonna say what Bobo said was wrong. However, again, I like to put context, factual documentation with what I'm saying. Bobo was right in regards to manufacturing. However, that does not mean that there aren't black companies that are actually doing international business, because that's false actually. That is false. There are black businesses.
Hey, Volvo, go ahead and let her speak too. Go ahead.
You could have actually pulled up your laptop and you could have did the research and pulled it up too, instead of asking me who. Now I'm going to move on, and I'm going to say this. The answer is there are Black businesses that do international business. Now, economically, on a large scale, we have been outnumbered when it comes to manufacturing and exporting, because there was a trade deal that Trump pretty much fucked around and fucked everybody in the ass, even though people carry on about how great Trump is in some areas. In some areas, he was not. And that is a true fact. You can even go on to AmericanProgress.org and you can read that for yourself. The other thing is we can say all these things and point out all these great things, like LaFarmer was well astute with his perception of what happened with the Black Panther Party, but he didn't also mention Eldridge. Eldridge ran his ass over to an Asian country, got him an Asian wife, and he did a lot of destruction prior to his exit with the Black Panther Party, but that's another story for another day. But at the end of the day, when you mention all these good things, and we can go ahead and pull out all the information, and we can make sure we can get up to speed on what things happen, we still have to move forward and actually get involved. Stating the fact that we don't have certain things does not mean that we don't do something about it. Because unless you have the wherewithal that you're going to leave America and then you're going to go over to another country and you're going to set yourself up and live over there, you have a responsibility to make sure that we get prepared and get ready to fight and get the things that we actually need. So if you're saying that we're not doing manufacturing high numbers, we have a space every Saturday, Black Space. And I always talk about how we need to actually reindustrialize America. The reason why we don't have a big push for us to actually have a reinvigoration of the industrialization system, where we actually, the American descendants, are on top, including reparations, would actually help us do that, because there would be a reinvestment of economics under the very people that actually get pulled out of the businesses that you claim that we don't have money to do for international trade. And it's not that it's people aren't doing it, it's maybe you're not doing it. And then two, Wilson mentioned something great. She said the rail systems in China, they actually are listed as 1 and 2. However, the United States is listed as number 2 as far as exports. So someone is doing exports. We have to get into the business of figuring out how do we actually get our own exports numbers up, so that we also can assist our own country that we live in. We live here, meaning that we have nowhere else to go. So with all the things and all the, like you said earlier, everybody was babbling, all the babble that you mentioned and tried to take us down to Wonderland, that was great. But it wasn't further enough, because it's not stating that you're willing to actually go ahead and get yourself in a position where you can own a fleet of trucks, or you can get into a position where you can work with the rail system in the United States, so that we can get with some legislators that's going to put some Black people in positions of the rail system. We have to still get involved. I don't understand where we somehow keep missing that point. Where do you miss that point to say that, well, because we don't have these things, that somehow we're not supposed to be doing nothing? Because you said we was late to the party, and last I checked, we had multiple inventions stolen. We had constant infrastructures in communities bombed and taken out. And they were also a community where we also owned oil, which is why Tulsa and another in that corridor, that southern corridor, was bombed. But a lot of people don't know that. Go read that. They went after those people because they were sitting on oil, so that they can export that. That's why those communities were thriving. They had manufacturers. They had industrialization. that was helping those communities build. And them white folks was like, oh, hell, we can't let that happen. They're going to pretty much build on top of us.
Produce us.
There you go. And then we're going to be asked out. And so what they did, to Welsing's point, when it comes to greed, is they destroyed the communities that were overproducing exports. Now, this shit could backfire on China because China has so much exports that they got to get that shit out across the world. And we can actually make that shit hard on them. See, this is where we come in with, we sit down with people who are actually in the business of finding out how do you war with trade and you protect your country. And you serve your country by getting into rooms with people who are actually at the table, and you make sure that you oversaturate that room with your bodies. Meaning that the reason why you feel the way you feel is because we are not in a black majority state where we are the majority power making the decisions. Tennessee just literally got rid of 2 black men. I don't care how you feel about them or where they from, whatever. They were in office. They were members in Congress, in their Tennessee State Congressional Party. They ousted the 2 black dudes, kept the white woman. Why that's important is because you have the old GOP boomers who could care less about us, but claim that they're for America. But yet, here you have 2 bodies in members' chambers trying to fight for something. Legislation is called. They want to write some bills. They want to do whatever, but you need people in them goddamn seats. Y'all asses ain't even trying to run for goddamn office, but you got all the smoke for everybody else in the world. You got all this smoke for your own people. And then you call it babble when we having conversations. So I guess if we're going to use all these terms, we're going to use all these terms. And I'm going to respect terms because you introduced them into the conversation. And I'm going to tell it to you like this. We need majority power in whatever legislative body we are serving in that requires us to be in a collective understanding that you can't move shit if you ain't got the power to move it. Meaning if you're too spread out or if your business is not growing because you don't have enough people to actually push you and push money into you, hence why we need reparations, regardless if you feel like freedom is not the term of the year, the century.
Hey, real quick, Rella, I'm gonna get ready to have you landed in a few minutes.
I'm about to land it.
Okay.
My point is that you gotta go further than what we ain't got and figure out what do we have in front of us and how do we now move quickly to get more, because we have to get into a position where we can fight what's happening. Regardless if you feel like how big China is, United States is number 2. Number 2 in exports. The reason why people are moving here is because we have the biggest military. That means we have power in war. We also have power in trade as far as exports. So if people can come here and cosplay as you and claim they're you and get in a position to move your asses out the way, then guess what? They take over where we were supposed to show up in our land.
Okay, real quick, y'all, because we're going to be closing this space out. We're not going no further than 11:30, so I'm going to put everybody on a 3-minute time, and yeah, we're going to go ahead because we've been going 3 hours. Don, I see you with the thumb, so believe you me, when you get ready to come up here and speak, I'm going to be returning that same favor too. So go on up here and unmute your mic.
Oh, now it's 3 minutes when it's my turn.
No, it's 3 minutes for everybody because the space been going since 8 o'clock.
So listen, y'all, I wanted to get us back on topic, which kind of Bobo brought up. And I wanted to reverse us from the broken Negro path we were on. And by that, I mean, I feel like we vacillate between super Negro and broken Negro. We all have our moments. But I can't be around a bunch of people in that mode at the same time. We can't talk about how globalism is a problem and then say globalism is fixed. You can't talk about, oh, the dollar's going to collapse, but then talk about doing trade and like whatever bullshit he was talking about. If you really believe that the dollar is going to collapse, then you should be looking into this black crypto or us creating our own currency. If you really understood the situation of Black Americans here, you would understand we have no secure food distribution system in this country, no secure water system. We have a 30-point gap in home ownership. There are forensic genealogists required going forward. We have no source of clothes making, as in hemp, cotton, whatever. So if we look at our situation in terms of the hierarchy of needs, we are at such a collective disparity. These global issues do not fucking pertain to us. So it is really ridiculous to sit and talk about how all these global factors infiltrated us, and we're even talking about China and what they're doing in Africa. Who gives a fuck? We're 1.7 trillion just in the fuck around money. If we were actually intentional in addressing just the hierarchy of needs, the economy is like over 3 trillion. If you look at the 16 trillion that the U.S. economy is losing, understand the math. That is literally our economy. So what I'm saying is that let the world crumble around us. Our situation is completely different. We need to be buying land, farmlands, establishing food distribution systems. If we are so good at Pan-Africanism, let's be even better at Pan-Americanism. Let's practice Pan-Americanism with American freedmen and ADOS and FBA and American Negroes. Why don't we do that kind of Pan-Americanism and form business coalitions and then weaponize them in terms of voting and lobbying and putting money behind lobbying? So what I'm saying is that we shouldn't look at Africa, what's going on over there, even whether it's a draw or not. We have so many resources here at our disposal that if we would come together as a people group and advocate and build to build basically an alternative society, and I say that because it's not technology driven. We're talking about the pressure from AI. We're talking about the pressure from a possible collapse in currency, which I don't believe. But then we also know that there are people out here, smart people, talking about a black currency. And we know that basically land is what we need. Obviously, the cash to develop it. But if we address our food supply system, that is a huge industry. Home building, carpentry, and all the services and economic activity that's generated, we have nothing but upside. Our community does. Now, the rest of the world, and I'm not saying we're not going to be impacted by us, but we cannot already be at the bottom and think there's any lower for us to go other than extinction. So I say the sky is the limit. I think we're about to get our own. I think we're about to be properly federally recognized, and I think that's going to have a huge positive psychological impact on our community. And I do think if we achieve these separate categories, that potentially in the future, Pan-Africanism is a possibility, but it requires mutual respect of each group that might be involved in that. But I just wanted to say that I think all of our opportunity is here right beneath our feet. Whether it's legal claims and torts that we find in our lineage, or just business and filling the needs of our people in terms of housing and food supply and all the services we need. So I'll end there. Thank you for the time.
All right. Thank you. We're going to go ahead, and our last speakers are going to be Phoenix, Mr. Engaging, ODB, and Volvo. I can tell anybody if you raise your hand, I am not going to let you come up here and speak. So I'm letting you know right now. Go ahead, Phoenix.
Peace, blessing, and rest. I want to end with this and thank you.
I think we lost you, Phoenix. Can you hear us? Phoenix, you may have to come back down and come back in because I think you may have lost your connection.
Let me slip in my thank you, Newstoter.
Okay, appreciate that. Phoenix, can you hear me? Phoenix, if you can hear me, go ahead and disconnect and come back up, and we'll bring you back up so you can speak. In the meantime, let's go ahead and go to Mr. Engaging. Mr. Engaging, what's up?
Oh, chilla. What's up, man? I'm not even gonna talk about Monique. She's old enough to be my mom, so out of respect, I'm not even gonna comment on that crap. But I do want to talk about that Pan-Africanism viability, and also respond to like what some of the people saying that we shouldn't pay attention to globalization or what's going around us. And I'm gonna start off, we should be concerned about what's going around us because it does affect us. Like, for example, like the Mossad, they use certain police tactics that they use to harm people. They use those tactics on other African people, and they have police forces that go over there to get trained, and they come over back to the United States with those skills and then end up hurting us as citizens. So paying attention to what goes on to the, around us is very, very important. And for us to be blind to it, I think that's very foolish. So that's just my take to that. The other thing that I do want to address is Pan-Africanism. Is it viable? I'm going to say that again. I think Pan-Africanism overall is just undeveloped because it was just a theory, just never was really put into practice. So that's how I look at it. I'm not saying something that we should be entertaining. I think that we should be entertaining, working with ourselves and building better coalitions. I do agree with that. I think that would be within our best interests. But you know, for Negro first, I think that would be the best interest, and I think that should be the leader of the coalition. But that's just my take, and that's just my small take on the Pan-Africanism thing. I just think it's something that it's a waste of time at this time frame. We should be developing the land that we have, the land that we fought for, and focus on reparations, you know, and focus on what's getting owed to us. Once we get that, we have like the opportunity, the money, the muscle to actually get involved in these investments, actually investigate, actually build meaningful partnerships from a position of strength. You know, no one wants to have a weak partner, and it's not a shot at us. It's just we just need to get our weight up. That's all.
All right, appreciate that, Mr. Engaging. Phoenix, let's see how your audio is now. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I was hearing you before. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Oh, okay. You know, I almost forgot a little bit about what I was going to say, but I did want to say I wanted to just reiterate and say that we definitely need to, like Mr. Engagement said, get our weight up. We are doing business. We're doing good business. There's a lot of prominent business people out there. They, you know, just may not be into the things that we're into, pretty much. So we need to do a lot of coalition building. Yes, and Don is right. We need to be getting our land. So there's a lot of things, but I like to be of the mind of solution. Like we talk about problems so much. I mean, there new things are happening all the time. But you know, we want to be of the mind of, okay, so this is the problem. What is the solution? We want to immediately train our brain to go to that, because it's necessary. Because everything is moving at God's speed, lightning speed, however you want to say that. So I'm of the mind that, you know, let's always, you know, pivot back to solution and the best solutions, and also unifying. And whether we have differences or not, we are one people. So, and we're American, and we fought for this. So let's preserve it. Let's do business, and let's run for these seats. We will always, say it again and again. We're going to always be in a complaining situation if we're not in these seats of power. And yes, Bobo said, oh, we, Black people held seats of power, throughout time. Not as a collective group. Not since the American freedmen have we been holding the seats of power in a collective group. One person over here, a person over there, and this and that, they're going to get their butt beat and beat down, and they're not going to be able to do anything. And then they get ridiculed by the community, of course, because, look, we need to get it together and come together as a mass number collective. When one of our brothers, like Grandmaster Jay, I'll just come back to that, goes to prison because he was protecting two-way rights and representing two-way rights against the white supremacists that were the militia. And we leave that brother in jail and don't even send him a letter or nothing like that. I mean, come on, we have such short memory. So we need to uphold and be loyal to the people that are loyal and representing us. There's so many people that love us, and we are included in that. So we need to represent for our people and hold them up and elevate them as much as we can, or at least support them. But we need to get in these seats. And I don't care what anyone says. If you're not writing legislation and policy or blocking some shit that's coming down the pipe for your ass, then you're going to always be in a deficit, and you will be behind the curveball, and you will be late to the party. So what we're going to do is we're going to collectively run and take these seats. We cannot complain if we don't do what we need to do. And I'm going to land there.
Okay, thank you. We're going to get to ODB, and we're going to get to Volvo, and that's going to be it for tonight because we got to get up out of here. I got some stuff to do. So ODB, go ahead and unmute your mic.
What's happening with y'all? Y'all can hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right, bet that. So I'm going to make this quick. I think Bobo's points, guys, a lot of valid points. At the end of the day, we can't look at the world having an economy crash around us and sit there with our heads in the clouds. That shit's wild as hell. There's a reason that America was meeting with Taiwan and Los Angeles because they're right there with China and they make the microchips for phones. They're the largest manufacturer for the microchips for phones. So there's a lot of things that we need to be worried about. Now I'm going to get to the second point. Don tried to introduce y'all to it. Maslow's hierarchy of needs. That's the only thing Black Americans need to worry about. It's Maslow hierarchy of needs. Fill that bottom portion up. Right now, globally, we talking about shit that's on the top triangle of that. Globally, we do not do international business. Volvo drives trucks. I'm a contractor. I just did a job for a Chinese man whose country sent him over here with his business visa, and he bought a whole copper plant in Sealy, Texas. A big-ass fucking copper plant. So that's what the game plan is. They're doing it. We need to focus on locking our shit up in America. You know what and you can laugh all you want, loved one, but you gave some horrible advice. That was some of the worst business advice I've ever heard in my life, be it international trade and how to go about attacking international trade. It was actually, if anybody heard that, please erase it from their mind immediately. You know what I mean? Because that's not how you attack. You attack international trade from a micro level, and then you have businesses come together from a micro level, and then attack the macro. You know what I mean? That's simply the only way. So that when we see these Chinese people getting these business visas, that's what they do. They attack us. They're doing it in America too. They send these businesses over on a micro level, and then they affect the macro level of what's going on in China. You see what I'm saying? But we need, in Black Americans, we need to do exactly what we were saying. The bottom level of Maslow hierarchy of needs. Food, water, shelter, clothing. Lock that shit up. Make sure we got people like Volvo on the trucks that can transport it to us and do that shit because that shit is coming. You know what I mean? Make sure we have our contractors in line that know how to pump gas, work oil lines, clean water, water filtration systems. Shit like that is what we need to be worried about. Not all of the rigmarole about all of the shit that people was talking about. Because the American dollar crashing is going to have some type of effect on it. And when I get around too many freedmen talking all this talk, they're not going to help us. The Africans are not going to come and save us because we are not from Africa. We just have an African admixture. We are American. We have an African admixture. That's all we got is an African admixture. We are not descendants of Africans. Most of us have a small admixture from the small amount of Africans they brought over from the transatlantic slave trade, the 388,000 over a 400-year period. I don't want to say it again. Please start doing math.
All right. Appreciate that, ODB. Real quick, Volvo, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Yeah, I just want to say, yeah, you were spot on, brother. If anybody believe anything that they said, they obviously misinformed and don't know what the hell they talk about. Somebody said, "Let the world crumble around us," like we just gonna be just standing up while the whole world crumble around us. If America fall, we fall. Duh, like we gonna just create this black currency and we're gonna be stepping over white people and while the whole world crumble, we're just these black Americans. No. If the world crumble, we crumble. I mean, like this. I mean, like some of this stuff is just some of the most ridiculous, foolish stuff that I've ever heard. I asked this lady, "What international business is black people doing?" She told me to go and get on my laptop and look it up. But she talking like she know. As a matter of fact, like she look at this stuff like she know what she's talking about. It was just a lot of garbage said. You know what I mean? We do. Black people in America don't do no international business. Period. The number one export that America export is petroleum. I used to work in the oil field in West Texas, Oklahoma. Somebody mentioned Oklahoma, New Mexico, and Louisiana. I used to work down there. I used to drive trucks down there for 3 years. I used to live down there. I went down there just to work in the oil field. There's people that fly in to America from all over the world just to drive trucks in the oil field, make $100,000 a year. If you don't believe me, look it up. I actually did it. Ain't no black people got a control of that. It might be a few black men down there with trucks and trucking companies, but we not digging that stuff out the ground.
All right.
We don't own none of that. Slumberjay own that.
All right.
Halliburton owns that.
Volvo, go ahead and unpack it real quick.
Yeah, that's pretty much it, brother. We not doing no international business. I know you gotta go. I appreciate.
I'm gonna let Sister Sean. You got 2-3 minutes. I'll go ahead because I know you just DM me because I'm getting out of here at 11:30. So I'll let you go ahead for 2 or 3 minutes, and then I'm shutting this space down.
Oh, thank you so much, Newstoter, and I appreciate the honor and the privilege. I'm just gonna go very, very quickly to close it out. I haven't been on in like about a couple days. Here's the solution. The solution to all of our economic problems is to break down the pipeline. What we don't understand as Black Americans, foundational Black Americans, freedmen, indigenous, ADOS, we literally make them millionaires. It's very simple. Step one is to stop the pipeline. We are gas feeding them. We are the oil. We are we're the new kings of cotton all over again. We're feeding all of these people. Cut the damn bleeding. Stop feeding them and see what happens. Understand what your power is. Stop going to all of those businesses. Literally, you will shut down this economy. You don't understand that we are the economy. I'm going to repeat that. We are the economy. Shut it down and see what happens, and you really know what your power is. They are trained even before they come over here as immigrants to prey upon us. This whole American economy, Biden is exacerbating it. We see it in front of our eyes, which is a good thing. Now you can see it. They're incentivized to come here and open up businesses. They are given leg ups while they're telling us, pull yourself up by your bootstrap. And they are deliberately placed in our communities to make themselves millionaires. So while our children
are being educated by low-key backdoor white supremacists. Not all of them, but yeah, we got them in there. They're actually teaching them back ways. They're teaching them for defeat, not for success. And then you also have certain teachers who just don't give a damn. They're just trying to get their student loans paid off. They took trades out of the schools. So that's why every city you go, there's no black people on the construction sites anymore. They're not doing lawn care. Those are the trades. This is by design. And these people, they literally have training classes for these immigrants on how to get money from black people. So it's our own fault. And if we want to shut it down, somebody said something about a solution. I want to give solutions.
Hey, Sister Sean, I don't mean to cut you off, sister, but I got to go ahead and run, and we got to shut this space down.
Run it. But the first solution is, they wanted the solution is cut down their pipeline. Stop feeding them. And I'll land right there.
Okay.
That's the solution. Amen. Then we build from there.
Okay, I appreciate that, sister. So shout out to all you guys that came out to the space tonight. We had a bunch of speakers. I wish I could have got more of y'all in, but I need to go ahead and take care of some stuff. So we'll see you guys maybe this weekend or Monday coming back for the Twitter spaces. So everybody have a good weekend. Thank you so much to the co-hosts and the speakers, all the listeners, everybody who shared it out. Thank you once again. So guys, we'll catch you guys another time. So y'all be safe. Have a good night.